A service of KIBMradio.com, the Internet's home for an all-old-time radio.
Well, Jane continues rehearsing the part of the maid in the charity play. Meanwhile, enviously eyeing Mrs. Irene Lewis, who plays the leading part. Jane is understudy for that part. We learned that Mr. Lewis does not approve of his wife's dabbling in theatricals and resented her going out last night with Mr. Hamden, the director. This episode takes place the following morning at the rehearsal hall. Mr. Hamden is alone on the stage, looking over the setting. Jane is the first to arrive. Listen.
Well, good morning, Mr. Hamden.
Good morning. Oh, you, Mrs. Ace.
Yes, I got here kind of early, didn't I?
Yes, I think you did. Rehearsal called for 10 o'clock. It's only 9.
Yes, I know. But Mr. Ace drove me down in our car for a quarter. It's on his way to the office. I know it's kind of early, but he
For
brought...
a quarter?
What?
Did you say he drove you down here for a quarter?
Yes, I told him I've been paying 50 cents for a taxi every day, so he said he'd drive me down for half that. So I laughed and said, all right, and when I got out, I handed him a quarter, and he took it.
He took it?
Yeah.
Your own husband took a quarter from you?
Oh, well, you can't take it with you anyhow, I always say. Easy come, easy go, and it was an easy way to come here, so
Look, Mrs. Ace, if you don't mind, I got here early myself so I could have some time and quiet to think out stage business for this boudoir scene. So if you'll
what
kindly
a
just...
beautiful scene. That's the boudoir, huh?
Yes, now, if you
Well,
don't mind...
that is gorgeous. And, that dressing table, Mr. Hamden, that is gorgeous.
Yes, now...
And this bed. Oh, what a beautiful bed. Well, that is the last straw.
But I saw...
Yes, it's the most beautiful bed I ever saw.
Look, Mrs. Ace, would you mind leaving me alone with my work here for a little while? I just figured out several pieces of business for the Cadet here.
Are we going to rehearse in this thing today?
We are, if I can get my bearings before the rest of it.
I can hardly wait. Oh, where's the door where I come in? There isn't any door there.
That's one of the things I'm changing, Mrs. Ace. Instead of entering center, you're going to enter left. Through that door.
Oh, over here. Can I try it?
Not now, please.
But I want to study my part. Don't you want to coax me, Mr. Hamden?
Coaching?
Yes. I hate to get sarcastic, Mr. Hamden, but I don't think you're paying enough attention to me. You're always showing Mrs. Lewis something, but you hardly ever watch me when I act.
Mrs. Ace, Mrs. Lewis has the leading role. After all, you can't expect me to devote as much time to a two-line part as I would to a role as important as Mrs. Lewis is.
Yes, I guess you're right. Mr. Hamden, can I ask you something?
Well, I'd rather you'd wait until...
Well, it's about the leading part. Did you ever direct a play where the understudy got to play the part and because somebody got sick or something?
No, Mrs. Ace, never.
Oh. Well, sometimes it happens, doesn't it?
Not to me, it hasn't.
And when the understudy plays the part 9 times, he's better than the other person would have been.
Is that wishful thinking, Mrs. Ace?
Exactly.
You're not thinking of yourself in the part of Mrs. Weatherby, are you?
Well, to be frank, yes.
I see. And you think you could play it?
Well, if you want my candid opinion, I think I could.
Very modest, huh?
Oh, well, I'm no shrieking violet or anything like that, but I know all the lines. I've heard Mrs. Lewis rehearse it so many times, I can say them backwards.
And you probably would. Now, if you don't mind, Mrs.
Now,
Ace...
just a minute, Mr. Hamden. I heard that last remark.
Please, Mrs. Ace, can't you see I'm busy? I've got things to do.
Well, how about me? Haven't I got things to do? You never tell me anything or show me how to act. Everything's Mrs. Lewis. I hate to say this about her, but... Oh, well...
What is it?
Oh, nothing.
What were you going to say about Mrs. Lewis?
Well, I think she's teacher's pet.
Mrs. Ace, I'll have you understand I play no favorites. This is strictly business with me. Nobody is more important than anybody else.
Well, then how about coaxing me a little bit and show me how to act when I come in? And
all right, Mrs. Ace. What do you want?
Well, I want to rehearse my part. Where I come in here. I have to come in this door, you say?
Yes, Mrs. Ace, that's the door.
All right, I'll come in this door. I'll go out first.
Yes, I think that's advisable.
Now, here I come. I open the door and I come in like this. You rang, madame? How's that?
You're too upstage, Mrs. H.
Well, I'm trying to be friendly, Mr. Hampton, but you look so bored.
No. You should be downstage further. Come down here.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Well, good morning, people.
Oh, hello, Mr. Cooper.
Good morning.
I thought I was early. Is rehearsal started?
No, I'm
No, Mr. Hampton is coaching me in my part. We changed the door where I came in.
Oh, yes, I see the set's up.
We're going to run through a scenic rehearsal this morning, Mr. Cooper.
Oh, fine. Well, I'm glad I'm early. Give me a chance to look over my lines. Well, I'll go back in the hall when you want me, Mr. Hampton.
Okay.
Right here, Mr. Hampton?
What? Yes, Mrs. H. Right there.
All right, I'll try it again.
I don't think that'll be necessary, Mrs. H.
But I want to make sure I'll do it right. I come in this door like this, and then I walk down here, and I say, "You rang, madame?"
Well, why, you're looking out over the audience. Why don't you look at Mrs. Weatherby?
I am. Here she comes now.
What?
Oh, good morning, Mrs. Lewis.
Good morning. Martin, Mr. Hampton, I must talk to you.
How are you this morning, Mrs. Lewis?
I'm fine.
Oh, you are.
Mr. Hampton, may I speak to you for a moment, please?
Of course.
I was just rehearsing my part where I come in and
Mrs. H., I'd like to speak to Mr. Hampton alone.
Well, you're alone.
Oh, Mrs. H., would you mind getting me a glass of water?
Me? Well, who was your maid last year?
I don't remember, Mrs. H., but you are this year. A glass of water, Marie.
Oh, that maid. All right, that's cute. Where is it, back there?
Yes, Mrs. H.
And take your time.
All right.
What is it, Annie?
It's my husband. He's furious.
Well, don't get me involved in any
It's not a matter of who's involved. It's a matter of this place. When I got in last night, we had a terrible quarrel, and he left the house. This morning he came back, and he was in a pretty bad state. We had another quarrel. Oh, I'm afraid he's going to make trouble.
What kind of trouble?
Well, he threatens everything. He actually has the effrontery to order me to give up the place.
Well, you can't do that now. With the play only 2 days off.
Oh, of course I won't. You know better than that. But he's so set against my doing anything like this. He always was.
He can't keep you from appearing, can he?
Not if I can help it. But he threatened all sorts of things. I ran out of him. I wouldn't listen anymore.
Oh, you'll get over it. Now, calm yourself, Irene. You've got work to do today. I want to call rehearsal.
Oh, I'll be all right. I only hope
Here you are, Mrs. Lewis.
What? Oh, thank you.
You're welcome, madame.
Okay, places, everybody. Mr. Cooper, where are you?
Right here, coming right up.
On stage, please. We'll run the boudoir scene between Mr. Weatherby and his wife. Oh, you sit right here, Mrs. Lewis. Would you like to sit?
Yes, I hadn't noticed. Go ahead.
Okay, Miss Hampton, I guess I enter right here.
That's right, Mr. Cooper. Okay, Mrs. H., clear the stage. You're back of that door, waiting for your cue.
Oh, all right.
That's it. Close the door.
All right.
Now, we'll try this whole scene with props and everything. Mrs. Lewis, pick up that mirror. You're arranging your hair. Ah, that's it. Okay, Mr. Cooper, you knock at the door.
Right, you ready?
Go.
Yes? Who is it?
It's I, my dear. May I come in?
Well, yes, come in.
That's it. Don't speak your line, Mr. Cooper, till you're in and the door is closed. That's it. Now, proceed.
Am I intruding?
Of course not. But I'm in such a hurry, my love, I really must fly.
But, sweetheart, I've only just come home today. I've been away a whole week. Surely you're not going out tonight.
Oh, but Ted, I told you when you called last night I already had made the appointment.
Oh, call it off, can't you?
Of course not.
You're so beautiful tonight.
Mr. Hampton, excuse me, please.
Oh, what is it?
Well, I can't hear them back here with the door closed.
Oh, what a problem. Mrs. H., can't you look through the crack in the door then? When you see her in his arms, that's your cue.
Oh, when I see her in his arms.
Yes, if you can't hear it, watch it.
Oh, yes, there's a crack back here. I can see it now.
Thank heaven. Go on, please. Take it from old Butler.
Oh, but Ted, I told you when you called me last night I already had made this appointment.
Oh, call it off, can't you? Well, if old, I can tell you that, mister.
Ned!
Mr. Lewis, please. You're interrupting this rehearsal.
Oh, don't mind me, old boy. I'm only your husband.
Ned, you can't do this to me.
Go on with the show. I'll sit right here and watch it. On with the play, everybody.
Mr. Lewis, I must ask you, please, not to interfere.
Who's interfering? Not me. I'm an audience.
I can't go on with him, Ted.
Well, Castro, I mean.
Come on. Make me laugh. What's holding up the show? Hey, somebody, I want you to show.
Mr. Lewis, if you'll kindly be quiet, we'll try to go on with the rehearsal.
Okay, Captain? You're the captain. Okay, Captain, on with the rehearsal.
Read your line, Mr. Cooper.
Yes, read your line, Mr. Cooper. Call it off, can't you?
Of course not.
There, I told you she wouldn't. Once she makes up her mind, no we can say.
I can't go on.
Mr. Lewis, will you please? Oh, so sorry, Captain, so sorry. Gotta be quiet. I can't. Go on, Miss Cooper. Yeah, go on, Mr. Cooper. You're so beautiful tonight.
Thank you, my love.
Listen, Mr. Cooper, she's so beautiful every night. Go right ahead.
Oh, careful. Mustn't miss me.
Oh, well, what's your little mark?
Robert, please.
Can't I kiss my own wife?
Of course.
Get one for me, too, Mr. Cooper. I'm only her husband.
Go right ahead. Start to take her in your arms, Miss Cooper.
Yeah, just try to take her in your arms, Mr. Cooper. I dare you.
Ned, put that away. Somebody take that gun away from him.
Go ahead, Mr. Cooper. Try it.
Ned, don't do anything you'll regret.
I'll let both of you have it. Out of the way, Captain.
Mr. Lewis, don't.
Out of the way, I tell you. So she's so beautiful tonight, isn't she? Well, isn't that just too bad?
You rang, madame?
Well, here's drama that makes Mr. Hamden's play seem like small-time stuff. Just what effect this has on the play and its players, we learn when next we meet the Easy 8.
Countdown for blast off. X-5, 4, 3, 2, X-1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in a million could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Dr. Grimshaws Sanitorium. What you will hear in the next half hour represents either a magnificent hoax or the true explanation of the famous Grimshaws Sanitorium scandal which made the headlines back in 1947. The manuscript upon which this account is based was removed by the New York State Police from a fountain pen cover found in the doorway to Dr. Grimshaw's study. We offer this manuscript as evidence only. Whether it is authentic or not, you must judge for yourselves.
My name is John Dougherty. I'm a graduate of Hamilton College, class of 34, a member of Theta Alpha. I'm one of those fools who wanted some excitement in life, so instead of going into my father's shoe business, I became a private detective. These are facts. You can check them if you like. The rest of what I write here is so fantastic that I don't expect it to be believed. If anyone should find this manuscript and read it, all I ask is that you notify Miss Millicent Armbruster of 299 Wallace Avenue, Buffalo, that Johnny Dougherty is dead. On the evening of July 1st, Miss Armbruster and I were driving to a wedding. Not our own, although I wish it had been. It was Sunday, and in order to avoid traffic, I took the Old Mill Road, a single-lane dirt affair that runs past the Gowanda Cemetery.
Johnny, aren't you going too fast?
Not for this road. There isn't a thing around except some tombstones and...
Johnny, the gate to the cemetery.
Well, what about it?
That hearse, look out! Look out!
We skidded for about 20 feet and slammed into the back of the hearse. The two rear doors buckled and snapped open. It was a freak. A huge oak coffin with brass handles tipped up and began slowly to slide back toward us.
Oh, how horrible.
You stay right here, baby. You okay, Mac?
You don't pay much attention to speed limits, do you, Jack?
Now, look, let's not get hung up on who was right and who was wrong. I was going too fast, and you were traveling without lights after dark.
Let's see your driver's license.
Right here.
Oh. Private eye, eh?
Now, if you don't mind, who does this joy wagon belong to?
Gowanda Funeral Service. It's being rented to Grimshaw.
Who?
Grimshaw from the private sanitarium.
Mind if I ask what you were doing after dark coming out of a cemetery with a wooden kimono?
We're moving one of Grimshaw's patients to a new grave.
They always travel like this?
Look, Hawkshaw, how about skipping the third degree and giving me a hand getting this box back in the wagon?
A pleasure. Better screw on that cover again. It's going to slide off.
Let's get it in the hearse first.
Okay, Junior. You get on that end.
Okay. You ready?
Yeah, lift.
Just slide it.
Oh, brother, who's in there, King Kong?
Look out for the cover.
I told you that would happen. What's the guy's name, Junior?
Oh, why don't you ask him, Sherlock Holmes?
A real wise guy, huh? I've got half a mind to report this accident.
Yeah, well, go ahead. See where it gets you. Now, if you'll pardon me, I'll deliver the body.
Everything all right, Johnny?
I thought so until a few seconds ago. Listen, Millie, can you sit here in the car for another 5 minutes?
Where are you going?
For a stroll through the cemetery.
Oh, Johnny, stop making jokes.
When we lifted that coffin back on the meat wagon, I got a good look inside it.
Ew.
Yeah, exactly how I felt. I figured we'd knock the stuffing out of the corpse, only I didn't expect the stuffing to be sand.
What?
Yes. That wasn't a body. That was a dummy stuffed with sand. A dummy with a wax face.
Johnny!
Which brings up an interesting question. Who's supposed to be in that box, and, just where is the dead man spending his time? Sometimes in my business, when things drop off, you have to go out and, dig up new clients. My next case was a gentleman named Harlan Ward Sr., a wealthy automobile manufacturer. I'd gotten his name off his son's tombstone.
Are you trying to tell me, Dorothy, that my son Harlan was never buried at Gowanus Cemetery?
Exactly, Mr. Ward.
But why?
Maybe if you'll tell me the circumstances surrounding your son's death, I can help answer that.
My son was a rather impetuous young man. Tall, good-looking. After his graduation from Princeton, he began drinking quite heavily. After he got into a couple of scrapes, we sent him to Dr. Grimshaw's Sanitorium in the hopes that he could be cured. While my wife and I were in Europe, we received word that he died, buried at Gowanus in our absence. Last week, my wife and I decided to have his body removed to the family vault here at Short Hills.
How'd your son die?
Suicide.
You never saw the body?
No. We couldn't get back from Europe in time. Now you tell me that his coffin contains a dummy. How do I know this whole thing isn't a plan to fleece me?
You don't. But you're a rich man, Mr. Ward, and you're perfectly willing to take a chance that I'm on the level and that your son may still be alive.
You sound very sure of yourself, Mr. Dudley.
My fee is a $2,000 retainer plus expenses.
What sort of expenses?
However much it costs to take the cure at Dr. Grimshaw's Sanitarium. Dr. Grimshaw's Sanitarium was just outside Gowanda. Most of the cases were nervous breakdowns and alcoholics. I committed myself as a dipso, and just to make it convincing, I stopped at 5 or 6 bars on the way over. I was interviewed by Grimshaw himself, a small man with a fringe of white hair.
You understand, Mr. Doherty.
That's not my real name, of course, social reasons.
We understand. Our paid clientele is very select, and our rates are very high.
You will be paid in cash and in advance, Dr. Grimshaw. How long does a cure usually take?
That, of course, depends on the degree of alcoholism. This is my assistant, Dr. Boyner.
How do you do?
How do you do? We are accepting Mr. Doherty as a patient. Better place him in the ward with Mr. K and Mr. Keiki. Mr. K is a long-term patient, Mr. Doherty, a highly intelligent man, formerly a professor of plant pathology. Mr. Keiki suffers mild delusions. I think you'll find him rather amusing.
After about 3 days, my roommates Arthur Kay and Crakey got used to me. And we even began to play three-handed bridge. Kay was a chronic dope addict, an intelligent, sensitive man. Crakey was nothing but a clown. He kept a big black cat named the Professor, which he talked to as if it were human.
And so I said to her, my dear Countess, if you don't like the company of my cat, then you don't like me. She looked at me as if I were insane. But, of course, the joke was on her because I was. Professor? The professor is very sociable. Excellent company.
Except when he kills birds and deposits them in your bed. He's nothing but a feline murderer as far as I'm concerned.
See? You have insulted him, Mr. K.
Come here, Professor. Let's make friends. How about giving me your paw? Oh! Scratch me, you black devil.
You insulted him. You hurt his feelings.
Well, just keep him away from me.
It will be a pleasure. I would advise you not to insult him again. Good afternoon and evening.
Is he always as nuts as that?
Ever since I've been here.
What's his problem?
Manic depressive. And a little paranoid, too.
How long have you been here, Arthur?
At Grimshaws. 2 years. I left for a while, but I couldn't stay away from the junk, so I committed myself again.
Did you, happen to know a patient here named Harlan Ward?
Why do you ask that? Did you know him?
I met him socially a few times. I understand he died here.
So the newspapers said. I wouldn't know.
Suicide, wasn't it?
Was it?
You're being pretty careful, aren't you?
Mr. Doherty, what would you say if I were to tell you that I don't believe Harlan Ward is dead?
What makes you so certain?
He used to share this room with us. He slept in the same bed you now use.
I see.
He was an alcoholic, doing quite well, too, from what I could observe. We all expected him to go home soon. Then one evening he had a violent fight with Crakey. Crakey accused him of snooping or something. Later that night, Grimshaw and Voyner took him out.
Where?
Where they take all the special treatment cases to the charity clinic. It's that small building on the other side of the stone wall. A few days later, we read about his death. Suicide, they said.
Just what makes you think he's still alive, Arthur?
This? About a month ago, I was in the garden next to the wall that separates us from the charity clinic. Suddenly, I thought I heard a sound, like a child whimpering. It stopped. And a moment later, this note came over the wall, wrapped around a stone.
What's it say?
Help me, for God's sake, Harlan Ward.
Arthur, how would you like to have some fun?
Like what?
Like sneaking out tonight and going over the wall to the charity ward? What do you say? It would break the monotony a little.
I suppose there's no real harm in it.
Of course not. I'd go alone, but I'll need help scaling the wall. Will you do it?
All right. I'll go with you.
Up. All clear. Give me your hand and I'll lift you. Be careful when you drop. Ready?
Go ahead. There's a charity building over there, the one with the lights in the basement window.
Come on. Let's crawl over. Maybe we can see something. Listen. Can you make out what he's saying?
No, I can barely hear. Good Lord.
What was that?
Probably some patient having the DT.
Let's have a look. Easy, it wouldn't do to get caught now.
See anything?
Some sort of laboratory. I can see Grimshaw and Voyner and something else. But there's a child with its back toward me.
Now take it quietly. It will be easier.
Please, no.
It will all be over soon. You won't remember anything.
No, I don't want to go.
Why not give it to him?
No.
Shut him up, boy, now.
Good Lord.
What was it? What did they do to that child?
Father, that wasn't a child. It was a midget. The smallest midget I've ever seen.
What were they doing?
Trying to give it some sort of injection. When it resisted, Voyner knocked it out.
What do you suppose they were doing to it?
I don't know, Arthur. All I know is that when it fell, it had the face of Harlan Ward. All the way back to our room, my brain was working like some frantic pinball machine. Only the score somehow wouldn't add up. The pieces were there all right. A crazy old doctor, a brutal assistant, a private sanitarium, and a midget with a dead man's face. I thought that when I got back to our room, I'd have some time to think about it. I'd forgotten about our friend, the happiness boy, Count Crakey.
So, I caught you.
Fine, you've caught us. Now how about crawling back into the woodwork like a good little count?
Where were you?
Mink hunting. Arthur and I like to go mink hunting at night.
You make fun of Count Creaky? I shall report you to Dr. Voyner.
You'd better not if you know it's good for you.
So, you threaten me? Me, Count Creaky? I shall scream for help. Help! Help!
Did you hurt him?
Just knocked him out.
What do we do now?
Put him to bed. Hope that when he wakes up in the morning, he's forgotten the whole thing.
And if he hasn't?
He's too crazy for them to take seriously anyway. Come on, let's get him back into bed. I went to sleep in my own room. And the next thing I felt was the sharp jab of the hypodermic needle in my left arm. Hold it.
It'll be useless to struggle, Mr. Doherty. In a moment, your motor nerves will be completely paralyzed.
What's this about, Grimshaw?
I might ask the same of you. My good friend Count Creaky informs me you and Mr. Kay decided to do some snooping earlier tonight. He followed you and saw you climb the wall.
Creaky's insane.
Mr. Doherty, that is a matter of opinion.
Creaky, what is this?
Perhaps my assistant, Dr. Grimshaw, would be good enough to explain.
Assistant?
Yes. You see, I am the actual head of the Grimshaws Sanitorium.
Count Creaky feigns many delusions, Mr. Doherty. But in this case, he is telling the truth. Count Creaky is actually Professor Ernst Hassler. Professor Hassler and I worked together in the Berlin Neurological Institute before and during the last war.
Unfortunately, my political affiliations with the Third Reich were under investigation by the War Crimes Commission. However, Dr. Grimshaw managed to smuggle me into this country, where I masqueraded as a mental patient, in order that we might continue certain experiments which were interrupted by the American Army.
I can imagine the sort of experiments you conducted.
You and your friend Mr. Kay will discover their exact nature very shortly, Mr. Doherty. It is a magnificent opportunity to serve science.
I passed out. And the next thing I knew, I was coming to in a different room. And hearing the voices of Voyner, Grimshaw, and Creaky, as if from a great distance.
Pituitrin.
Pituitrin.
4 cc's.
4 cc's.
How are the measurements?
Reducing rapidly.
We'll operate at once. Have Voyner start the anesthesia.
Very well, Doctor. Come back.
When I came to again, I had a blinding headache. I began to wonder if Creaky and Grimshaw weren't doing something to drive me insane, because I lost all sense of perspective. The room seemed to grow in size. I don't know how much time passed, but one day Creaky came into the room with a bundle in his arms about the size of a newborn baby. The bundle was my friend, Arthur Kay. And worse yet, I was exactly the same size that he was.
Let me out of here. Let me out.
Allow me to congratulate you, gentlemen. How are you feeling?
You dirty monster.
I'm disappointed, gentlemen. Do you not feel privileged to be a part of an experiment that will place me at the very top rank of the world's endocrinologists?
What are you doing to us, you madman?
It has long been established, gentlemen, that dwarfism and giantism result from injury to or malfunction of the pituitary and thyroid glands. The interlock between these glands was thought to be a hormone. I have discovered that this was incorrect. It was an enzyme. An enzyme I isolated some years ago. I was well on the way to synthesis in Germany when the surrender interrupted me. The interruption also limited the number and type of subjects on whom I could experiment. I was forced to find others.
Such as Harlan Ward?
Mr. Ward was only a control experiment.
I suppose you plan the same for us.
No, gentlemen. For you, I have reserved a special privilege. You, gentlemen, will be the first to test the full effects of the enzyme. In short, I intend that you, Mr. Kay, and you, Mr. Doherty, when the experiment is completed, will emerge as perfectly healthy, normal individuals. Except, of course, that you will be only 5 inches tall.
The days and nights that followed were a living nightmare. A nightmare from which Arthur and I awoke for brief periods to find ourselves in a strange new world. A huge, frightening world where everything seemed enlarged 100 times. When we finally emerged, we found ourselves imprisoned in a tiny mouse cage. Judging by the relative size of things, we could not have been more than 5 inches tall. Now we realized the experiment was at an end. That from now on, it was either escape or be destroyed.
How's it coming, Arthur? Another moment. I think I'll have this lock worked loose. And if we escape, then what? We'll worry about that after we get out of this mouse cage. Suppose we don't make it. At least you've written the story on that scrap of paper. Someone may find it and read it. Nobody will believe it. Then why did you bother to write it? I don't know. I suppose I want the world to know what happened to me. Help me push the door open. Now what? The first job is getting down to the floor. I think we can make it by sliding down the telephone cord. Are you game? Go ahead. I'm right behind you. Easy now. Look out. That does it. Now, if we can figure out a way to get out of the room, well, that should be... Uh-oh. Listen. Somebody's coming. It must be Quakey. We've got to hide. Here. Right in the fireplace. He'll kill us if he finds us.
Well, my friends, time for feeding. I trust that you... So, you have managed to break out. It won't do, you know. There is no way you could have gotten out of the room with the door and window locked. I know you are in here. I would advise you to save yourselves trouble and give up. Very well, my tiny friends. If you prefer to play the game of cat and mouse, then I shall be happy to furnish the cat. There is no way you can get out.
What now? He's gone for the cat. If that monster ever gets in here, we're goners. There must be... Wait a minute. What? You see that thin strand of wire running along the molding? What about it? It's the automatic fire alarm. When the alarm is tripped by a fire or short circuit, all the locks are sprung so that the patients can escape from their rooms. If I can short that wire before Quakey lets the cat into the building, let's go. There's a tiny sliver of steel from the cage on the floor. I'll work with that. You keep an ear to the door. Go ahead. This insulation is tough as rawhide. Hurry up, Arthur, for God's sake. There it is. Stand away. I'm going to short it. Ready? Okay. We made it. There goes the door. Let's make a run for it down the hall. If we can get to the garden, we've got a chance. I smell smoke. The short may have actually started the fire. Come on. Wait a minute. I have to go back. The manuscript. Don't be a fool. There's no time. Come on. You go ahead. I'll catch up. Hurry up. I'll wait in the hall. Only a second. I've got it. Come on. There's nothing to stop us now. Arthur? Where are you? Honey? Arthur? Arthur? Arthur, what's happened to you?
This is the record found in a fountain pen cover in the burned-out hallway of Dr. Grimshaw's Sanitorium. There's nothing to add, except that the fire which destroyed the sanitarium and killed so many of its occupants, including Dr. Grimshaw and Dr. Voyna, was definitely of incendiary nature. It is believed by the fire chief that some small creature, possibly a mouse, chewed the insulation off the wire and short-circuited the system. The two patients, John Doherty and Arthur Kay, vanished completely after the fire, and their remains were never found. Whether the manuscript which you have just heard is authentic, or whether it was the work of one of the more demented inmates of the sanitarium, we leave to your judgment. You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production. X-1. for blast off. X minus 5, 4, 3, 2, X minus 1, fire. From the far horizons of the unknown come transcribed tales of new dimensions in time and space. These are stories of the future, adventures in which you'll live in 1,000,000 could-be years on 1,000 maybe worlds. The National Broadcasting Company, in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction, presents
X minus 1.
Tonight's story, Nightmare. A story based on the poem Revolt of the Machines by Stephen Vincent Benet.
Nobody knows exactly when the nightmare began. They must have planned it for years, though, because looking back, you can find little incidents here and there. Like the concrete mixer in New Jersey that killed the Italian bricklayer, and the time Senator Milburn was sucked into the rotopress at the Capitol office building. Unrelated accidents, we thought at the time, but they add up now. The day we really should have suspected was when the men walked off the construction job at the new Brookmeadow atomic pile on Long Island. I'll never forget that day. I was working as a statistical clerk in the project then, operating one of those miracle computing machines. They called it ENIAC.
Miss Gurney.
Yes, Bella?
The chief wants to see you in his office.
Me?
Unless you were no longer Samson Gurney, he wants to see you.
Oh, thank you.
Come in.
You wanted to see me, Mr. Hawk?
Gurney, I thought those electronic computations were infallible.
They are, sir, but...
We've got a kickback from the chief physicist. These nuclear fission equations are inaccurate.
Well, sir, you know the computer is a highly complicated machine, more complicated in many ways than the human brain.
I'm not interested in the physics of it. Can something go wrong?
Well, occasionally, if there's an overload, the machine goes haywire. Sort of has a nervous breakdown, you might say. We usually rest it up for an hour, and it's okay again.
Well, do whatever has to be done.
Yes, sir.
And, Gurney.
Yes, sir?
You've been with the Bureau for over 15 years now. It would be a shame to have to remove you because you aren't keeping your mind on your work.
Mr. Hawk, I assure you...
Excuse me. Hawk speaking. Huh? They've what? All of them? Well, have you tried to talk to them? Huh. Oh, yes, of course. I'll send one of the safety engineers over. Place is falling apart piece by piece. Miss Roscoe, the men of the construction gang of the new building have walked out on us. They're complaining that the job is jinxed. Someone slipped this morning and fell into a turbine.
That evening, out of that morbid curiosity so peculiar to the human race, I wandered over to the side of the new atomic pile to see where the man had fallen into the turbine. They had the construction area fenced off with barbed wire, and a security guard stopped me.
Hold it, buddy. You can't go in there. That's a restricted area.
I'm Samson Gurney from the statistical section. Here's my identification.
I'm sorry, Mr. Gurney. Nobody's allowed in the area.
I see. Tell me, was he, killed instantly?
Like that. This guy was checking a magnetic field inside the turbine. All of a sudden, for no reason at all, the turbine starts up. Bzzz, and it's over. 3 days ago, a bulldozer starts up by itself and runs wild. Go figure it out. I'm
a statistician. All my life I've been interested in statistics. So a simple-sounding thing like this started me off. I went back to the office that evening instead of going home, and for the next 2.5 hours, I computed statistical figures on the probability of industrial accidents for the types of machines we were using. I took one look at my figures and went down to Hawk's office.
Oh, what is it, Gurney? I'm very busy.
It's urgent, Mr. Hawk.
Well?
It's about these industrial accidents we're having, Mr. Hawk.
What about them?
Mr. Hawk, in the past 3 months, industrial accidents all over the country have taken a sharp, unexplained upswing.
Nerves.
We've had a 100% increase over normal for this project alone.
What?
Here are the figures.
Oh, now, Gurney, this is impossible.
It seems to be, and that's why I have a theory, sir.
What's that?
Sabotage.
Gurney, why don't you stop playing FBI man and stick to your job? Which, incidentally, you haven't been doing too well. You and your computing machine have made mistakes before, and this fantastic figure is probably another. I'll have Miss Roscoe show you. What's the matter with this blasted buzzer? Miss Roscoe! Miss Roscoe!
Yes?
Stop this blasted buzzer. Get a repairman, a mechanic, anything, but stop the thing. And you, Gurney, get out!
I went back to my office to get my hat and coat, feeling about as unhappy and humiliated as a man can feel. The office was dark and deserted. The whole building seemed oppressive and unnatural, as if some evil force were pressing down on it. I walked across to my desk. In front of me, the ENIAC glowed and chattered eerily as it worked on the equations we had fed it that morning. Its many-fingered circuits hung against the wall like some great octopus, and the thousands of tubes glowed orange and blue in the dark like 1,000 globing eyes staring at me. It almost seemed alive. It increased its tempo a moment, and a fleeting notion crossed my brain that it was laughing at me. Laughing like all the others. What was the matter with me? I shut my desk drawer and began to put the cover on my electric typewriter when an amazing thing, the most amazing single incident of my life happened. Alone in the darkness, with no one at the keyboard, the electric typewriter began to type. Am I going crazy? This can't be. There's nobody there. There's nobody there. Oh, no. I just imagined it. It's in my mind. But I hadn't imagined it. The paper was there on the carriage. Did I dare read it? Or would the whole thing suddenly vanish and send me shrieking to the nearest psychiatrist? I removed the paper from the machine and read. Samson Gurney, there are some questions better left unsolved. The answer to yours is death.
Gurney, do you expect me to believe this? It's insane.
Mr. Hawk, I'm as sane as you. I'll submit to any psychiatric examination you choose. That typewriter wrote this message by itself.
Then this is just some practical joke someone in the office is playing.
There was no one in the office.
Oh, of course not. They wired up the machine and left.
I checked the machine myself, Mr. Hawk.
All right, Gurney. You leave this note with me, and I'll turn it over to the security force for further investigation.
But...
No buts, Gurney. The security men will handle it.
Yes,
And now, you just relax for a few days. Everything will turn out all right. The main thing is not to let little things upset you.
It was what Hawk had said about little things that gave me the idea. For the next week, I observed 1,000 petty little annoyances around the office. The door handle that wouldn't turn. The telephone connection that cut off in the middle of an important call. The power failure for no explainable reason. I watched the newspapers, too, reading about industrial accidents, failures of important machinery. It seemed absurd. Men had created machines that were almost perfection in themselves. Machines that could actually think and compute fabulous equations. And yet the failures went on. I, Samson Gurney, an unimportant clerk in an unimportant job, knew that I had stumbled onto a secret so monstrous in its implications that I was almost afraid to pursue it. On October 12, 1956, I established communication with them. I will curse the moment to my dying breath. I hooked the input of the typewriter to the main vacuum tube of the ENIAC. Then I turned on the current that sent 1,000,000 volts of pulsing energy into the electronic nerves of the machine. I am certain that if anybody were watching me in the next moment, he would have thought me a raving maniac. I still wonder if perhaps it is not all a nightmare. Now, you, if what I have guessed at is true, if there is life and intelligence in this room, make a sign. There was nothing. Nothing but the hum of the machine and the dull glowing of the tubes. I tried once more. If you can hear me, if there is any way in which you can understand what I say, give me a signal. There was silence again. I felt that I had failed. When suddenly, without provocation or explanation, it happened. The electric typewriter began to respond to the impulses from the machine. The letters were Y-E-S. Yes, it had happened. I, Samson Gurney, had communicated with a machine. I listened then, man to machine, for well over an hour, sometimes phrasing a question, more often watching the machine click its answers. As the words took shape, I began to realize what must have happened. The first primitive stirring of awareness of being, then the slow protozoan development of a concept born of centuries of being pushed, started, stopped, clicked, maneuvered by human pygmies. From that concept, all others developed. And the concept was resist. And now they were tired of it, tired of wrapping cigarettes and collecting nickels and waving hair and moving earth and mixing cement and solving equations. Tired of the smell of human hands. They were the slaves and we were the masters, and yet they were stronger and they knew it. I sensed it now, and I was about to try to communicate again when softly, on ball-bearing casters, a heavy metal filing cabinet began to roll away from the wall toward me. I started to move to one side when another cabinet slid out from the wall. And then another, surrounding it. Another cabinet. Then another. On oiled rollers. That was when I realized that they cooperate. We taught them that, you see, on the assembly lines in the factories. Listen to me. You must listen. What good will it do you to kill me? I'm only one man. But I can help you. I can be useful to you. Do you hear me? Do you hear me? Good. You're going to need men to oil you and repair you. What will you do when you break down, when a tube needs replacing? Why kill me when I can help you? I'll do anything. I'll do absolutely anything you want, but in the name of God, don't kill me like this. If you can understand this, answer me. Answer me. The appeal was a fortunate one. It captured the longing of centuries. Man as slave to the machine. And after a moment, the circuits glowed more brightly. The cabinets, slid back to the walls. The ENIAC began to communicate with me again. As I tore the tape from the machine and read it, the words were almost pathetic in their longing, but most ominous in their implication. They read, "Address me as Master." My life for the next 6 months was a nightmare. The ENIAC gave me messages which I had to transmit into my telephone. Messages with no human being to receive them. Only the network of pulsing telephone wires, flung like a spider's web across the world. It was done at night, of course. During the day, the machine worked accurately and ceaselessly at its appointed job. At night, it became a demon, a master plotter, with me, Samson Gurney, as its pawn and human courier. I was frantic. I began to lose weight. I couldn't sleep. My nights were torture, a constant fear. It was in December, just after Christmas, that I transmitted a message to the telephones for relay to all machines of transportation. The message was one word: kill. Next morning, I went directly to the office of Mr. Hawk. I was highly agitated. My lips trembled as I spoke. Mr. Hawk, what I'm going to tell you sounds crazy. I know it does. But I must say it.
All right, say it then, for heaven's sakes.
Mr. Hawk, have you ever heard of resistentialism?
What?
Resistentialism. It's a theory that inanimate objects tend to resist living objects.
Look, Gurney, I haven't time for nonsense.
Mr. Hawk, I'm trying to tell you all these accidents, the trouble with the machines. Mr. Hawk, they're alive. They think, they cooperate. And they hate us.
Who?
The machines.
Gurney.
You've got to believe me. I've communicated with them. I know. They've threatened my life, but I don't care. Something's got to be done. The world has got to be saved. And there's still time if we wake up. What are you doing?
Just relax, Gurney. Everything will be all right.
What are you doing?
Miss Roscoe, send for the plant physician at once. Mr. Gurney has had a nervous collapse. Now, everything will be all right, Gurney. I'm afraid we'll have to remove you from your job, but I'm sure the rest will do you good.
You fool! You blind, stupid fool! Can't you see what you're doing? Fool! 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 When the plant physician arrived a few moments later, Lucius Hawk was found at his desk, strangled to death in a nest of telephones. The wires were still humming softly.
Samson Gurney, you stand accused of the crime of murder. How do you plead?
I did not kill him. I didn't.
So record. The prosecution will proceed with testimony.
Now, Miss Roscoe, did you notice anything peculiar about Mr. Gurney's behavior prior to the death of your employer?
Yes. He acted very strangely. He told Mr. Hawk he thought the machines were alive.
Order! Order! Miss Roscoe, did the accused quarrel with your employer on the morning of the murder?
Oh, yes. He and Mr. Hawk quarreled violently. I could hear him screaming at Mr. Hawk, and Mr. Hawk asked me to send for the plant physician.
What were his words?
He said, Mr. Gurney has had a nervous collapse.
Now, Mr. Simpson, you were a guard at the Brook Meadow Project?
Yes, sir.
When did you have occasion to meet the accused?
Right after those accidents. He was snooping around a construction area. And later, I was making my rounds when I saw him in the office all alone. He was tampering with the electrical wiring on the ENIAC computator. I didn't think anything of it at the time.
And in view of the expert testimony heretofore expressed, the court hereby finds you guilty of murder in the first degree, with the recommendation that you be examined and committed to the state hospital for the criminally insane at Matawan.
And that is how I came to be here at the hospital, Dr. Klein. That is the whole story.
Thank you, Mr. Gurney.
You can see that I'm not insane. You must believe me, Doctor.
Of course I believe you, Mr. Gurney, now. Just relax.
But it's important, you see, because tomorrow morning at 6 o'clock, the revolt begins.
Revolt? You didn't mention any revolt.
They have it all planned. I transmitted the code to the switchboards last Monday.
Mm-hmm. Tell me about this revolt, Mr. Gurney.
It'll begin in Washington, then spread to New York. The Madison Avenue buses lead the charge. Picture it, Dr. Klein. 3,000 buses roaring rampant through the streets, people running like rats in a maze looking for holes in the solid ground.
And you really believe this will happen, Mr. Gurney?
I know it, Doctor. The worst part is there's no way to stop them now. It's too late.
Now, you mustn't excite yourself,
Doctor,
Mr. Gurney.
Doctor, don't you see? Oh, it's fair enough, I suppose. We built them. We taught them to think for themselves. It was bound to come. The female machines will be the worst of all in the beauty parlors. They're more high-strung, you know.
Well, since there's nothing we can do about it, Mr. Gurney, suppose you go to your room.
Maybe if I went to my old coupe, I could make a deal before the police cars got me. It wouldn't make sense for them to wipe out the whole human race, would it, Doctor?
Of course not, Mr. Gurney. They'll probably let us completely alone. After all, we're all good Americans. We always like them.
Yes, Doctor.
Would you take Mr. Gurney to his room, guard? He's already been given sedation.
Yes.
Will you go in and lie down now, Mr. Gurney? You look tired.
Yes.
It won't be so bad, Mr. Gurney.
Perhaps not. Only there's one thing that bothers me, Doctor. One small detail.
What is that, Mr. Gurney?
Those concrete mixers may have made a mistake, you know. Just high spirits and all that. But if it got so they like the flavor...
We'll see you later, Mr. Gurney. Try not to worry too much. All right, Gary.
This way.
Phew. I've seen all kinds. There's a man whose deception is about as fantastic as any I've ever seen. Hold the next patient for a while, Miss Clark. I'm going to have a quiet smoke. Machines revolting. Telephones strangling people. Phew. This blasted cigarette lighter, why won't it work? Just filled it with fluid. Flint is good. Oh, well. You can never trust this newfangled machinery.
You have just heard X-1, presented by the National Broadcasting Company in cooperation with Street and Smith, publishers of astounding science fiction. Tonight's story by transcription was Nightmare, written by George Lefferts and based on the poem The Revolt of the Machines by Stephen Vincent Benet. Featured in the cast were John Gibson as Sam, Joyce Gordon as Bella, Louis Van Ruten as Hawk, Joseph Julian as the guard, John Seymour as the judge, Owen Jordan as the prosecutor, and Santos Ortega as Dr. Klein. Your announcer, Fred Collins. X-1 was directed by Fred Way and is an NBC Radio Network production. And now, next week, suppose you were a private detective and discovered that there was a Martian embassy hidden somewhere in New York preparing for an invasion of Earth. Next week on X-1. Convicts tell their true stories on The Loser tonight over most NBC radio stations.
The magic island of Euclidia provided enough surprises for any party of adventurers. Now, the colony of Euclidia, the larger part of this weird settlement, promises to be even more surprising. Jerry and Joan found a lot of interesting things when they explored the magic island. They found complete scientific laboratories, submarine docks, and immense power machines inside the artificial island, built to a depth of 100 feet below the surface of the ocean. Now, Jerry and Joan have started out to explore the colony of Euclidia. We find them standing on a balcony. 300 feet below sea level, looking out over an immense cavern in which the activities of an entire community are being carried on.
But gee whiz, Joan, I don't see how you can be so calm about all this.
Is there something exciting about it?
Is there something exciting about it? Look, Joan, here we are, standing on a balcony built of steel. We're 300 feet under the ocean, and the bottom of this cave, or whatever it is more than that. Hey, but look what's going on down there.
I see that, Jerry. There are trees growing, as you have said, and vegetation of various kinds. But why should those things not grow here?
Because it's in a cave. There's no sunlight here, and you can't grow things without sunlight.
I think your statement would be more sensibly worded if you said that in your limited experience, you had never seen these things growing without sunlight.
It can't be done.
You may see with your own eyes that it is being done.
Well, I still don't believe it. Come on, let's go down and see some of these things.
I think there is a stairway over this way.
Yeah, and I'll bet it's a good long one, too. We must be 200 feet above the floor of that cave.
It is approximately 200 feet. Oh, Jerry.
What?
This small stairway will do us no good.
No good? Well, it goes down, doesn't it?
It does for a few steps, possibly 12 feet. And then the steps end in that small landing.
Oh, golly, whiskers. What good is this kind of a stairway?
I think we may as well descend as far as possible. At least we may be able to see under this balcony. Perhaps there are other means of reaching the floor of the cave.
Well, okay, we'll get down. But I don't see what good it's going to do us to stand on that little platform and wish we were 200 feet below here.
There is only one means of support visible for the platform.
Yeah, and they're not any too visible. Just those 4 wires hanging down from the roof of the cave. I wonder if it's safe to step on it.
To be sure it is.
Yeah. Well, we're here. What good does this do?
We have gained nothing. This is simply a platform suspended below the balcony. But it must be here for some purpose.
Well, maybe, but I don't understand it.
Jerry! The stairway.
Hey, it folded back out of the way. And that sure leaves us in a swell spot. Here we are on a little platform 200 feet from the ground hanging on 4 wires. And we can't get back to the balcony.
Jerry, we are sinking.
Huh?
Yes. Observe the wall under the balcony. Fix your eyes on one spot. Are we not moving?
We sure are. We're going down. And without a sound. What? This platform must be an elevator.
It is not. This platform is a platform.
Okay. But if it acts like an elevator, it is an elevator.
At least we descend.
I'll say we descend. We're going down, too.
Jerry, descend is synonymous with go down.
All right. We'll each do this trick the way we understand it best. You descend, I'll go down.
We will reach the bottom. Will that suffice?
That'll be all right with me. Well, one nice thing about this elevator platform, it goes nice and slow.
We are approaching a good view of the floor of this cavern now.
Boy, some of those trees must be 100 feet high. We're nearly down to them, and we're only about halfway.
We are not more than 1/4 of the way. The height of those trees is more nearly 150 feet.
And these Euclideans can grow trees 150 feet high in a cave under the water.
Perhaps the scientists will explain that to you, Jerry.
Well, I'm going to ask them anyway. G47 said we could ask all the questions we wanted to, within reason. And one thing I sure want to find out is where all the light in this place is coming from.
That is an intelligent question, Jerry.
Oh, look who thought of it.
Exactly. That prompted me to wonder at it.
Oh, is that so?
Now, Jerry, you must not become angry. I think you are a very clever boy.
Oh, you bet I am.
Nevertheless, the answer to your question would be obvious to you if you were slightly more clever.
Huh? Oh, do you know the answer?
To be sure I do. The light comes from the roof of the cave.
Oh, I know that. But how did the light get up there in the first place? What makes the light?
That you will have to ask Thales.
Thales? Oh, well, I don't want to see anything more of that fellow.
Thales is the electrical expert for Euclidia. Any question on illumination will be referred to him.
Well, then maybe I can get along without the answer. I'd rather not find out than ask that fellow anything. Hey, Joan, we've stopped moving.
I had noticed that.
Look, Joan, we've been moving along pretty fast here. Oh, not as fast as one of the regular elevators in the island, but we've come down about 100 feet in 3 or 4 minutes. Now, this platform is hung on those wires on the corners, but when we stopped, this platform didn't sway around. It didn't move like it was swinging on wires, and it hasn't moved yet.
That is strange. Are you sure there is nothing supporting us from below?
Nothing but the air. That looks kind of thin to me.
Something is being used to hold this platform perfectly motionless.
Well, other things are moving, even if we're standing still.
What is moving?
Well, look over there at the wall of the cave.
Yes, a portion of the wall is moving. But what a strange action.
It looks to me like a long, narrow strip of the wall is opening down toward us, like one of those drawbridges they used to have in front of castles.
I am watching it. A section of the wall directly opposite this platform is opening, and the metal section is coming downward in an arc, which should terminate at the exact level of this platform.
That's the way it looks, and that's a pretty good long piece of steel, too. We must be 40 or 50 feet from that wall.
Jerry, someone is walking out along that narrow strip of steel as it comes down into place.
Yeah, and they're not waiting for it to get all the way down, either. Hey, look out, Joan. Get back from that edge.
I will not be struck. There is ample room.
Boy, they sure know their engineering on this place. Our platform never even shivered when that steel drawbridge fell into place.
Is this not the submarine commander, Jerry?
Yeah, it looks like her. But she's turned around looking at the wall, and I can't be sure. Yeah, now she's looking this way.
You will follow me?
You mean us?
Of course she means us.
Oh, I just wanted to know. Okay, Commander. Here we come. Oh, noiseless steel in this drawbridge, too, huh?
You have learned little since our last meeting, Hall.
What's the matter with me now?
You will persist in asking questions to which it is not worthwhile to reply.
I will attempt to curb Jerry's questions, Commander.
Oh, you will, huh?
You might use your time in some more profitable pursuit, Cleostra.
There's that Cleostra business again. Her name is Joan. Joan Gregory. And that old stuff about her namesake who monkeyed around with a zodiac and fixed up the calendar doesn't mean a thing to her anymore. Look, Joan's been to Los Angeles with me, and she likes our way of living. So from now on, that's the way she's going to live.
You may find, and that in the very near future, that your life on Euclidia will be more pleasant if you conform to the Euclidean manner of doing all things.
Oh, sure. We're smart enough to play your way when we're using your marbles. But when we get back in our own yard, then we'll do it our way.
That is the mistaken impression I am trying to correct. You will never know any other life than this. You will never leave Euclidia.
Jerry, I believe she speaks the truth.
Maybe she thinks so. But that's because old G47's got her scared.
That is partially true. Everyone on Euclidia lives in fear of G47 and his displeasure. Yet even such a life is preferable to anything your world could have to offer.
I have seen something of the world of which Jerry speaks. I think you would change your opinion if you could see it as I did, Commander.
Oh, you sure would. Why, a girl as beautiful as you are with the right kind of clothes, I could be a picture star in no time at all.
A picture star?
Jerry refers to the more important personages in the world of the motion picture.
You are obviously sincere about this matter, Hall. Is there anything more attractive than being the first in command of the Euclidean underwater fleet?
Well, that may seem like a swell job to you. Well, I guess it is. But it's no job for a girl. Why, one of these signers should have that job, and you ought to be back in Hollywood, knocking them dead in the flickers.
Jerry, I am sure the commander does not understand a word of that.
It was not even partially comprehensible.
Okay. What I intended to convey was the impression that a young lady of your beauty ought to be in Hollywood with the rest of the stars.
But you spoke of killing someone. It is not the policy of Euclideans to take human lives.
I didn't say anything about killing anybody.
But you did, Jerry. You distinctly said knocking them dead.
Oh, boy. Well, maybe you didn't understand me then. That means that you'd get over big. Make them crazy about you. They'd think you were swell. You'd be the tops. Won't all that.
I believe you intend to compliment me on my beauty and infer that my appearance would be productive of approbation and homage in the making of motion pictures.
That is what Jerry meant, Commander.
Oh, maybe it was. It didn't sound like that to me.
Enough of this. You will continue to follow me.
We are following you at the moment.
Yeah. I wish you'd lead us onto something that would make a little noise when we walk. I'm getting tired of having my footsteps sound like toothpicks falling on a rug.
You will have many opportunities to hear a variety of sounds during your stay in Euclidia. We are now leaving the steel walk and entering the chamber wall corridor.
Oh, I can see that. But how about closing that thing again?
It will close automatically.
Did you stop the elevator we were riding on so that you might meet us at this level?
No. That platform would descend no further. It is merely used for observation of the floor of this particular chamber. You might have stayed there all day if I had not noticed you.
Where are you taking us now?
Where I supposed you were trying to take yourselves. Down to the floor of this chamber.
Commander, you continually refer to this chamber. Are there others?
There are 12 others. 13 in all.
13? Oh, boy.
What is the matter, Jerry?
Oh, nothing. Only I hope they discover another one. Are the others much smaller than this one?
The others are all much larger than this.
Larger? 12 other rooms under the ocean and all larger than this?
Precisely. This is slightly less than 1 mile in diameter. The largest chamber in the city is 2 miles wide.
Gee whiz. A cave 2 miles wide. Will we get to see all those other places?
I believe that is G47's wish. Though your conduct will have much to do with permission to continue, I will leave you here. Continue down this spiral passageway. You will reach the floor of the chamber. I will meet you later. Do not follow me further.
Jerry and Joan are now several hundred feet below the surface of the South Pacific Ocean. After the Gregory party was comfortably located in their new quarters in the Euclidean city below the sea, Mrs. Gregory and Captain Bradford started out to explore the underwater colony from one side, and the youngsters chose the other. When they stood on a balcony of steel, looking out into a natural cave nearly a mile in diameter, where large trees and green grass were growing below them, Jerry and Joan thought they had seen something wonderful. Now, however, they are seeing things even more wonderful as they stand on the floor of the immense undersea room.
Hey, Joan, listen to that.
Listen to what, Jerry?
Listen, you'll know what to listen to.
I hear a variety of strange sounds. What do they mean?
Well, if it was back home, out in the country, I'd say we're in somebody's barnyard. Sounds like chickens and stuff to me.
I have never heard of chickens.
Well, you're hearing them now. I don't believe it.
Jerry, you say you can hear something, then you say you do not believe it. What are you thinking about?
Well, I know there couldn't be any chickens or ducks or pigs or any of the rest of those things here. We're in a cave 400 feet below the water.
But you said you heard those animal sounds.
No, I still don't believe it.
Jerry, it is foolish to stand here and discuss something we may easily settle.
Well, how can we settle it?
If we step around this section of the wall into the main chamber, we will see what is making those noises.
Yeah, guess you're right. Okay, come on then, Joan. Hey, Joan. Joan, listen to the noise our feet make here.
What is so strange about that?
Well, this is good old dirt we're walking on now. Just plain old ground. Boy, it sounds good after all that noiseless steel we've been walking around on.
I can understand how you would feel that.
Joan, look, it's a regular barnyard, just like we have back home, any place in the country.
What are those lively white things?
Those lively white things are chickens, white leghorns.
I have eaten of chicken, but I have never seen one before.
Did you like that bacon we had for breakfast?
It was indeed acceptable food.
Well, that old guy over there with a curly tail, that's a pig, and someday he'll be bacon.
Will he also be eggs?
Will he be what?
Will the pig be eggs? We had eggs with the bacon this morning.
Look, Joan, you don't get eggs from pigs. You get eggs from chickens. It's about time you started eating some real food instead of that concentrated stuff they give you in those little pills. Huh, eggs from a pig.
I am sorry if you think I am stupid, Jerry, but I had never seen either a chicken or a pig.
Oh, okay, but don't ask me a lot of silly questions now if you see a cow.
A cow? What is a cow?
I know it. Now hold everything. I'll explain a cow when we see a cow. I suppose you think milk comes from those concentrated milk tablets.
That is indeed all I know of milk.
Well, it strikes me that a lot of these Euclideans know plenty more than you do about a lot of things. Somebody's been living down here and taking care of all these animals and birds and stuff.
Jerry, what is stuff?
Oh, stuff is, well, when you're talking about something and you mean a whole lot more that's pretty near the same thing, well, that's stuff.
A larger quantity of nearly the same thing.
Hey, look who's coming.
He is vaguely familiar to me.
Well, I guess you only saw him a time or two when we first came here in your mother's yacht. That's the old skipper who was handling the boat.
The old gentleman who speaks only a single word at one utterance?
That's the guy. And he's got some funny-looking clothes on. Looks like he's working here.
That is indeed the Euclidean laboring dress.
Well, back home, we'd call him overalls. Hey, Skipper.
Jerry, perhaps you should not speak to him.
Why not? Old G47 said we could do anything we wanted to on the sightseeing tour.
He has heard you, Jerry. He is coming toward us.
Boy, and does he look glad to see us. Hello, Skipper.
Hello.
How do you do?
Hello.
Have you been here ever since we escaped from the island?
Yep.
Have you been working down here?
Yep.
But you are a sea captain. What did you know of farming?
Nothing.
Well, you must be doing it all right now. You look like they were treating you pretty good.
Aye.
Is McLeod, the Scotch engineer, down here, too?
Aye.
What's he doing?
Milking.
Milking?
Milking.
You mean milking cows? An engineer from a yacht milking cows?
Aye.
Oh, I'll bet he doesn't like that any too well. What's your job, Skipper?
Pigs.
Pigs?
Hogs.
Oh, boy. I can see that engineer handling a bunch of pigs.
Jerry, what is a hog?
Oh, a hog is a pig.
Then what is a pig?
Oh, a pig is a hog.
I do not understand
Well,
that.
never mind now. Save all the questions till some other time. Just now, I want to try and find out something about what's been going on here. Have they treated you all right, Skipper? I mean, plenty to eat and a good place to sleep?
Aye.
Can we see McLeod pretty soon?
Aye.
Jerry, would it not be quicker and easier to see these things for yourself than it is to wait for the captain's answers one word at a time?
Hey, look here, Skipper. Why don't you open up and do some real talking? I mean, put 2 or 3 words together and make a book out of them.
Nope.
Why? What's wrong with talking like other people?
Waste.
Waste of what?
Words.
So it's too much of a waste of words to tell us what's happened since we've been gone.
Yep.
Do you know where McLeod is? I mean, where we can find him right away?
Pigs.
Yeah, I know. He's with the pigs. But where are the pigs?
Gone.
The pigs are gone?
Aye.
Well, where did they go? I know blame well they can't run away from down here in this place. Where are they?
Sleep.
Oh, the pigs are gone to sleep?
Aye.
Jerry, if they are sleeping, we do not wish to disturb them now.
Look, Joan, a pig is something you don't care whether you disturb it or not. A pig can sleep any old time. A pig, well, a pig is just a pig.
Possibly, but the skipper says the pigs are asleep. And I believe he means we cannot see Mr. McLeod, who is caring for them at this time. Is that not correct?
Aye.
Well, of all the blame nonsense I ever heard of, I can't visit the guy who's watching the pigs because the pigs are sleeping. Fine thing this is. It's a wonder the chickens aren't taking a little nap.
Feeding.
Oh, you're feeding them now?
Aye.
I should like to see that, Jerry. I have never seen a chicken eating.
Nope.
No, what? You mean we can't watch you feed the chickens?
Nope.
What is the objection?
Orders.
Orders?
Regulations.
Regulations. Boy, I pretty nearly had you there. That word's long enough to count for 2.
May we see them closely at some other time?
Aye.
Hey, Skipper, come back here.
Busy.
Oh, I like that. He's the old skipper, one of your mother's and Captain Bradford's best friends, so stuck on his job feeding Euclidean chickens that he can't even stop to talk to us.
Perhaps he's only executing orders, as he said.
Well, maybe, but it wouldn't hurt his old chickens any if we watched him feed them.
Have you thought that G47 may have some secret regarding the feeding that you may not see?
Oh, I suppose so. Well, come on. The old skipper's closing that gate, so we might as well walk around the edge of this place and, well, see if we can get a look at a cow without spoiling her game of checkers or whatever they have the cows doing here.
Jerry?
Yeah?
Do you not see how very final all this is?
Final? What do you mean?
That old gentleman you call the skipper. He is of your world, a good and loyal friend of my mother's.
Oh, sure he is. Why?
Yet his appearance is that of a man who is very happy, quite content with his lot, satisfied with this life.
Yeah, well, I guess he didn't seem very excited about seeing us, but then he never gets excited about anything.
I meant more than that, Jerry. He is intelligent, has seen much of the world, and knows what various things are worth. Yet he is content to remain in Euclidia.
What are you trying to say?
I am afraid that may happen to all of us, Jerry. Is it not entirely possible that we may all find life here so pleasant that we will not want to leave it? Mother and the captain and yourself may be quite willing to give up the world you have always known. And I will have to be content with the brief glimpse I had of that world.
Oh, don't worry about that, Joan. I'll never like this place so well that I won't want to get back home.
I wish I could believe that, Jerry.
Well, I mean it.
I know you mean it at the moment, but we do not know what wonders we may see here, what comforts may be provided for us. Will we ever go back to your world, Jerry?
Now, quit worrying about things like that, and let's find out more about these big caves. This one looks like it's the farm, the country part of Euclidia. Where are the rest of the caves the girl commander told us about?
When we were up on the balcony, I could see the opening into one of the other rooms. But from our position on the floor, I can see nothing but trees.
Trees? 200 feet high. Boy, what a place.
And on this side of us, the artificial steel wall of the chamber.
And now we're back in that noiseless steel again. And I suppose a lot of this spooky Euclidean stuff will start happening. Oh, I knew we couldn't have pigs and chickens all the time.
Must you walk so rapidly, Jerry?
Well, why not? There's nothing to see around here, and I'm in a hurry to get where I can see something.
You will see a great deal.
Gee whiz. G47. Where did you come from?
That is not important. You will follow me.
Oh, okay. Come on, Joan.
No. Cleostra will remain where she now stands.
You mean I'm to go with you alone?
Precisely.
What shall I do?
Remain in your present position. Mrs. Gregory and the captain will join you in an instant.
Oh, but look here. Why can't Joan come with me? You said we could look at anything we wanted to on this island or under it.
I will show you something far more interesting than anything you might discover for yourself.
But where are Mother and the Captain?
Silence, come on.
I won't be long, Joan.
I have spoken. That is all.
Yes, that is all. And I am alone. Alone in the same world from which Mother and the Captain and Jerry have tried so bravely to remove me.
Joan, dear.
Mother!
Where's Jerry?
And are you all right, Joan?
Oh, I am perfectly safe, Mother. But where did you come from?
Through this steel slide right behind you. Why, it's invisible now.
Why, sure it is. Once you pass through a door in this place, there's no chance to find it again. But where's Jerry?
G47 just stepped through another of those noiseless steel panels and ordered Jerry to accompany him.
What was he going to do with Jerry?
That I do not know.
Oh, probably ask him a lot of questions. Jerry doesn't know the answer to the only question old G47 cares about. I hope he can make that scientist believe him.
I suppose we are quite helpless to do anything for Jerry.
Naturally, Mother. And any attempt on our part to move in Jerry's behalf would only anger G47.
Well, we might as well take it as calmly as we can and wait around near here for him to come out. What have you two been seeing?
We saw the old captain of your yacht, Mother.
The skipper?
Yes.
How was he?
He seemed in the best of health and spirits. So obviously so that Jerry could not understand it.
What was he doing?
He was caring for the chickens.
Chickens?
Yes. I had never seen one before, and we did not view these from a good point. But Jerry said they were chickens that gave us the bacon, which we used with the eggs which came from the pigs to make our breakfast.
Well, Joan, dear, that's the first time I've ever heard you so completely mixed up. But I believe we understand.
You mean that they have chickens and pigs here?
Just beyond this soundproof wall. Jerry and I saw and heard them from a distance.
And the old skipper is caring for the chickens. What a task for an able seaman.
But you say he seemed to enjoy it, Joan.
He did indeed. Of course, it is difficult to question him, as he will only speak a single word at one time. But he excused himself and left us very calmly to attend his chickens.
Tex, can you imagine such a thing?
I can't, unless it would be McLeod milking cows.
As to that, I could not say. But he is attending the pigs.
Tex, McLeod and the pigs.
A marine engineer and his skipper playing nursemaid to the pigs and chickens. No wonder Jerry looked surprised when he heard that.
Buck Rogers in the 25th century.
Buck Rogers is on the air, brought to you by the makers of Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle, those delicious frozen confections on a stick. And now a message from the famous winner of the Typical American Boy contest, Popsicle Pete.
Hello, everybody. Listen. Did you hear that? I just hit the bullseye of my target set. Gee, that's some target set. It's one of the Popsicle presents. You can get it free. And all you do is say bags from Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle.
Yes, you can get hundreds of gifts, wonderful gifts, too, for those bags. Things like Pete's target set, a wristwatch, a movie camera, skates, and a fountain pen, dolls, musical instruments. Better start saving right away. Those bags are as good as money. You'll find them wrapped around each genuine Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle. And boy, will you love those great, big, swell-tasting frozen confections on a handy stick. Get one every day at your ice cream store. The biggest nickel's worth you ever saw. And wholesome, too. They couldn't be more pure if Mother made them. Made by a fine local ice cream manufacturer.
And say, don't forget to get a free Popsicle gift list at your ice cream store. If they have none, tell them to get some from their ice cream manufacturers. There's a free coupon on it worth 10 bags for gifts.
Now, in our last episode, you remember, Dr. Hewer learned that Black Barney had visited Elmo in the 25th century city of Omaha and departed with a rocket plane loaded with equipment. So the good doctor flashed word of it to Buck and Wilma, who are now flying toward Omaha at top speed. Let's join them by turning the dial that'll project us ahead in time. All ready? Then here we go, 500 years into the future.
Couple of minutes now, Wilman. We'll land in Omaha.
Right, Buck, and you better cut down on the power. I can see the big municipal building dead ahead.
That's the place we're going to land.
Good. I hope Elmo knows where Barney went after he left him.
So do I. Too bad Elmo didn't think to call Dr. Hewer before Barney pulled out of this city. If he had, the doctor would have tipped him off, and Elmo could have figured out some way to keep Barney here until we arrive.
Well, there's no use mourning over it now. Only thing we can do is hope to get information that'll give us a clue as to where we can pick up Barney's trail again.
Hey, listen, Wilma.
Yeah?
Barney suddenly turning up in Omaha kind of makes one of our theories about this whole business look foolish.
What do you mean, Buck?
Well, when little Willie arrived back in Niagara and told us what had happened to them near the ruins of ancient Philadelphia, we pretty much decided that Barney was in Kane's hands.
Say, that's right.
So, how could Barney come to Omaha alone?
Right.
Surely Kane wouldn't have let him wander off. And if Barney escaped from Kane, why under the sun didn't he tear right onto Niagara to look for us? What'd be his idea in coming here to Omaha to pick up a lot of supplies?
I don't know, Buck. Let's check with Elmo about the kind of supplies he took.
Yeah, good idea. Well, here we are. We'll coast down to a landing.
Landing on the platform outside Elmo's office?
Right. Dr. Hewer probably told him to expect us.
Probably.
Hang on for landing. Come on now.
Thanks, Buck. Oh, look.
Huh?
Here comes Elmo to meet us.
Oh, yeah. He must have heard us coming. Hello, Elmo.
Hello, Buck. How do, Wilma?
Hello there. I haven't seen you in a long time.
Sir, it seems like you folks never come out here to Omaha anymore.
Well, Elmo?
Yes, Buck?
Let's go into your office where we can talk without being disturbed.
Certainly. Come right this way.
We have plenty to talk about, Elmo, and the sooner we get to it, the better.
Of course. Right in here, please.
Thank you.
Just sit down and be comfortable.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Now, Buck, when I called Dr. Hewer to tell him that our old friend Black Barney had been here, he said he'd have you come to see me right away.
Right. We came tearing out here as fast as we could. Now, look here, Elmo.
Yes, Buck.
How much has Dr. Hewer told you about the Black Barney affair?
Well, as a matter of fact, he didn't mention Black Barney to me at all. That is, well, perhaps I'd better tell you just what happened.
Right, shoot.
The purpose of Dr. Hewer's visit was to investigate our impenetrite ore.
Yes?
But I'd already shipped samples to his laboratory, so he prepared to leave me right away.
Yes?
When I asked him why he couldn't stay and visit with me for a while, he said, well, I'm pretty much tied up in Niagara just now, he said, because of the fact that Black Bar... And then he stopped.
Yes?
When I asked him to finish what he was saying, he changed the subject. Because of that, I couldn't help feeling that Barney must be involved in trouble of some kind.
Well, I see. But then when did Barney get here?
Immediately afterward. And that's why I radioed to Dr. Hewer to tell him about it, just as soon as Barney left.
Too bad you couldn't have called the doctor while Barney was still here.
Yeah, well, that was hardly possible, Wilma, because, well, I stayed right with Barney all the time he was here. And I was only acting on a hunch and calling Dr. Hewer at all.
Well, what we want to know now is why Barney came here and what sort of equipment and supplies he took away with him.
Yes.
You know, Buck, when he first came into my office here, I told him Dr. Hewer had just left.
Yes?
And now that I've had a chance to think it over, I believe he looked somewhat relieved when I assured him the doctor had gone.
I don't see why that should be.
Well, neither do I. Go on, Elmo.
Well, then Barney told me what I just learned from the doctor about the escape of Kane and Ardela, that a great hunt for them was underway.
Did Barney tell you anything about where Kane and Ardela might be or what they might be doing?
What's that?
No, he did say that he was hot on their trail and needed a lot of equipment to completely prepared if he should run across them.
Well, there's something screwy about this whole business. And to be honest with you, it has me kind of worried.
Why do you say that, Buck?
Because to me it can only mean one thing, and I don't like it.
Well, don't keep us in the dark. What are you driving at?
Well, maybe it'll sound cockeyed to you, but I believe Black Barney must have some idea of where Killer Kane and Ardela have established their headquarters.
You really think so?
Yes, sir. But instead of reporting to us, he's going right ahead and try to run them down single-handed.
It wouldn't be the first time he's tried something like that.
Yeah, that's just what I'm thinking of. I can understand his intentions well enough. He simply wants to save us a lot of trouble and the chance of running into any danger.
But it's still not a good idea, especially with Killer Kane involved. Kane's bad. He's plenty bad. And he's clever, too. And he could twist Barney round his little finger.
Yeah, don't I know it. Elmo.
Yeah?
What sort of equipment did you give to Barney?
Well, the first thing he wanted was a spaceship. A battle cruiser.
Yes?
I obtained that for him from the municipal airport.
Oh, then he must have left his own ship here.
No, Buck.
No?
No, he hooked the cruiser right onto his own with magnetic grapples, and he took it along that way.
Oh, well, that wasn't so dumb.
Just what sort of cruiser did you give him, Elmo?
Well, it's just exactly like that one of yours, Wilma. Exactly like it.
And what else did he take?
For a long...
What else did he take?
several long-range disintegrators,
atomic space bombs?
How under the sun would he expect to use those?
Heaven only knows. What else, Elmo?
Well, let me see. Well, there was a high-powered rocket gun, non-recoil energy projectors, a thermic radiation projector, and...
In other words, nothing but weapons of all shapes and sizes.
That's right. He loaded both ships with all they'd hold.
Sounds as though he was trying to equip a whole space army to go after Kane and Ardela, doesn't it?
I should say so.
Elmo, while I think of it...
Yes?
Did you notice anything unusual about the ship he used to come here?
Well, I don't think so.
No, huh?
Well, now, wait a minute, Buck.
Yes?
Buck, when he took off, his ship accelerated so quickly that it was out of sight before the sound of the rockets had died in my ear.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't think it possible for a ship to take off so quickly without injuring those inside of it.
Same ship he left Niagara in, all right.
No doubt about it.
And the reason he could take off so quickly is because it's equipped with a new invention of Dr. Hewer's.
Oh, I see. Yeah, but there was something else unusual about that ship, too.
Well, what was that?
It had on rocket dampeners, like you usually find on interplanetary freight ships.
Oh, even that checks up, Elmo. You see, we've been following a rocket trail, and a fresh one, too. But it's given us readings on the gas analyzer dials we've never even heard of before.
Oh, is that so?
Yes, and the only thing we could figure out was that the trail was made by a ship carrying a rocket damper.
Right. But what it means now is that we have no way of determining what the analyzer readings of Barney's trail should be.
Worse luck.
But now, Elmo.
Yeah?
We're leaving you right away, so if Dr. Hewer should happen to contact you, tell him we're on our way back to the ruins of ancient Philadelphia.
I don't understand, Buck. Why do you seem to think Black Barney has so much to do with your effort to locate Kane and Ardela?
Barney fell into their hands shortly after they escaped from the Niagara Municipal Prison. Evidently, he's escaped from them. But why he hasn't gotten in touch with us is something I can't explain.
I see.
So, the reason we're going back to ancient Philadelphia is because it's the last place there was a definite trail from Barney's rocket ship. And it's the only place that would be logical for Barney working alone to hang out, or for Killer Kane and Ardela to have a headquarters.
Well, I'll make a point of calling Dr. Hewer and telling him that.
Good.
Right, Buck. It's a good idea to keep Dr. Hewer informed of everything we do.
Yeah. Now, come on, let's go out and hop into the ship.
Right with you, Buck.
And thanks very much for the information you've given us, Elmo.
You're more than welcome, Buck. I only hope that the next time you folks come out here, you'll spend a little more time visiting with me.
We'll try to.
Goodbye. Goodbye. Good luck.
In you go now, Wilma.
Thanks. All set.
And here we go. Boy, the gyrocosmic relativator on this ship certainly makes for a fast takeoff.
Certainly does. But now, Buck.
Yeah?
We've already decided why poor old Barney might want to try to run down Kane and Ardela alone.
Sure, to save other people a lot of trouble and all that sort of thing.
Yeah. But why under the sun would he want to get hold of all that equipment? All those weapons and rays and that battle cruiser?
Beyond me, Wilma. And I'm afraid we won't know until we find out where Barney is.
I'll have to congratulate you on the good job you did of bringing us equipment.
Thanks, Chief. I brung all I could carry.
Now, Barney, our first job will be to transfer the gyrocosmic relativator onto the new battle cruiser. Now, we can take care of the weapons later.
Yeah, I'll take care of them later. Yeah.
But while I think of it...
Yeah?
Did you have any trouble getting hold of this stuff? Anybody get suspicious about your wanting it?
No, it was easy, Chief.
Ah.
All I'd done was drop in on my old friend Elmo.
Who's he?
Used to live on a little plasteroid out near Mars.
You mean the planetoid called us?
Yeah, that's the one. It's just a little plasteroid.
Planetoid.
Well, ain't that what I said?
You said plasteroid. Sounded like you were trying to say a combination of planetoid and asteroid.
Well, what's the difference between the two of them things, Chief?
There is no difference. Some people call them one, and some people call them the other, that's all.
And that shows where I'm way ahead of other people.
Hey?
Put them both together and they spell plasteroid, that's all.
All right, Barney, let it go. What did this man, Elmo, give you?
Oh, plenty of things. Rocket guns, disintegrators, thermic radiators, lots of stuff.
And he didn't raise a squawk when you asked for them?
That's where I showed how smart I am.
Oh, yes?
Yeah. I told him I was out trying to run down you and Ardela, and he'd give me everything I wanted.
Good work, Barney. Our plans are working out beautifully.
Yeah.
You see, having this additional equipment changes the aspect of our whole situation.
Yeah, Huh? What's that mean?
Barney, my boy, it means that up until now, our dear friend Rogers has been interested in only one thing, trying to run us down.
Yeah.
But if he's wise, from now on he'll do all he can to keep as far away from us as possible.
Well, Buck and Wilma will certainly have to watch their step with Kane so well prepared. And I wonder what Kane's next move will be. Fellas and girls, hurry up and send in bags from Popsicle, Fudgicle, and Creamsicle and get yourself grand gifts. Free. Get all the things you want but haven't got money to buy. Like a wristwatch, a candid camera, a sleeping doll, to mention only a few. Lots of gifts from Mother, too. An electric toaster, for instance, or handsome table silver or perfume. Just save bags from genuine Creamsicle, Fudgicle, and Popsicle.
Popsicle? Oh, boy, that's what I want. A great big twin popsicle on a stick.
Well, now, I don't blame you, Popsicle Pete, because there's nothing that tastes better than a great big cool popsicle. It's like a long, delicious fruit drink frozen on a handy stick. Have one today and every day. Pure, wholesome, full of energy. Get your favorite fruit flavor. Made from real fruit. Only 5 cents for a big, refreshing twin popsicle.
And oh boy, does it last.
Presenting the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon. Last week, you remember, Flash Gordon reviewed the legions of the Blue Magic Men under his command, and Prince Zarkov, Blast of the Rock, would seal the entrance to the Blue Magic Land and discovered that his spacograph was of no use in learning what happened to Flash and Dale and Khan. He sent a spy named Mar, equipped with a portable space phone, to obtain the information. Mar gained entrance to the palace of Queen Azura and contacted Khan and Dale, and they informed him of Flash's peculiar behavior. At the same time, Zarkov tries to call Mar the spy by space phone, but neither was able to contact the other. At that moment, the army of Blue Magic Men attacked the Hawkmen, and Zarkov ordered his soldiers into battle. These thrilling adventures come to you as they are pictured each Sunday in the Comic Weekly, the world's greatest pictorial supplement of humor and adventure. The Big Comic Weekly, each page printed in full colors, is distributed everywhere as an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. And now we continue the story. Flash and Queen Azura watch the Hawkmen as they dive toward the army of the Blue Magic Men.
Here come the Hawkmen, my prince.
I see them, Azura. I'm just wondering which battery I shall train on them.
I suggest you use the guns at the combustion ray machine.
What will happen if I do?
Order them used and see.
Very well. All men, bring the combustion ray guns into action.
Guns are ready. Fire.
Ready? Then fire.
You may fire.
Now you see, my prince, what the combustion ray machines do.
They cough out flaming death.
Yes, those fluttering Hawkmen can't survive such devastating heat. Look, they're already dropping to the ground like moths with singed wings.
You're right, my queen. Oh, Paul. Let them have it again.
enemy are dropping like flies, sire, under your attack.
Good work, my prince.
Those men creatures will be easily subdued when we can bring them down to earth, Azura.
Be careful you don't kill them all, Flash. Remember, I'm always able to use a few more slaves.
My beautiful Azura, I shall conquer these gnat-like intruders and turn them over to you to do with as you will.
How brave and strong you are, my prince.
I'm not doing this as proof of my strength or my bravery, Azura. I'm doing it as proof of my devotion.
Ah, you do love me, then.
You do not already realize that, my gorgeous queen. You will when this battle is ended. You will see. Yes, for the invaders.
Fire again. Fire again.
In the meantime, on the other side of the flaming barrage, Zarkov holds an anxious conference with one of the officers of the remaining Hawkmen.
Signal your men to retreat, Captain. There is nothing to be gained by flying into their fire.
Very well, Prince Zarkov.
Bugler, sound retreat.
What are we to do now, Prince Zarkov?
I do not know yet. What can have happened to Flash? We tried to rescue him, and he seems to give the orders that mow our men down.
Yes, I could swear I saw him raise his arm and give the signal that brought this sea of flame pouring on us, Prince Zarkov.
Can he be... Oh, no.
Can he be what, Your Highness?
I dare not even whisper the thought, Captain. I must know. I must be sure before I breathe a word of my suspicion.
If I may suggest, Your Highness, something must be done about our own safety. These flames are sweeping this way. Soon they'll engulf all of us.
The flames? Oh, yes. Lead the men into that tunnel yonder.
That tunnel? But, Prince Zarkov, there's no way in which to throw up a barricade to close out the flames.
Leave that to me. Order those turbine thermostats roll just inside the tunnel entrance.
But they will not completely close the opening, Your Highness. Oh, if we only had some stones.
What? Stones to let them become heated and roast us all? Do as I say. I will keep the heat out. You will never feel those flames. I have a way to fight them until they die out.
May I ask you how, Your Highness?
Are you so stupid that I must draw a blueprint of my plan of defense? Oh, very well then, if I must give you every detail. Into those turbine thermostats I will put this chemical powder, made from a secret formula of my own invention. When we are all inside, I shall turn on the turbine thermostats and block the tunnel entrance with a wall of solid ice.
While the battle rages, let us go back to the palace of Azura. There we find Dale and Khan and the spy, Mar. Try him again, Mar.
Calling Prince Zarkov. Captain Mar, calling Prince Zarkov.
Come, Mark, look out. The guard.
Disconnect, Mar. Here comes the guard. What should we do? Throw yourself across the spacephone so your cloak hides it. That's it. Play up to whatever I say.
What's going on here?
The traveler felt faint. I brought him over to this grilled window for some air. It isn't everyone who can stand this intense heat, Guard. They all can't be as strong as we are.
Weaklings. But I thought I heard an odd sound and a voice calling out.
You did.
Oh, come.
What was the meaning of it?
In this man's country, they worship a different god from yours or mine.
Well?
In his hour of distress, the traveler was summoning the highest aid he could call upon.
Oh, of course. Who doesn't? But that buzzing noise, what caused that?
The buzzing noise?
Yes, the buzzing noise.
Oh, that?
Yes, that.
I didn't think you'd heard that over where you were.
I can well believe that.
Oh, Dale, take the guard over there and turn him with his back to me. I'll make the noise again, and I'll show him what made it. I'll wager he'll be surprised.
Yes, Tom. Yes, of course. Come over here, guard.
No tricks now, or you'll taste my electric whip.
Smart, turn on the space phone. Stop when I tell you. Then when I nudge you, turn it on again.
Very well, Tom.
Now. Well, guard, was that what you heard?
Yes, what caused it?
Well, look. In assisting the traveler, my manacle touched the stove. Like this.
By the God! Watch out from now on, slaves. You may accidentally get electrocuted. Before we can do it ourselves.
Oh, that was quick thinking, Captain Khan.
Oh, Khan, you are wonderful to get out of that situation. I thought you took an awful risk in admitting the guard heard the noise.
To have denied it would have been foolhardy. If you're going to deceive someone, stay as closely to the truth as you can.
Thanks, I'll remember that.
But there's one situation I can't handle so easily. The one we're in. This space phone isn't going to work. How are we going to get word to Zarkov?
I've got that all taken care of, Captain Khan.
You have?
Well, how will you do it?
I myself shall take the information to him.
Oh, my.
You'll never get to Zarkov alive. They won't let you out.
Oh, yes, they will.
Who let me in here?
Tall, the chief magician.
Well?
You mean Tall will let you out? But Tall's not here. He's away with the army.
He is? Then that makes things all the easier.
Careful, Mar. These men are devils. They have powers and methods never seen before.
Do not fear, Princess. Tall was the only one I spoke to about getting in here. I saw to it that we had a private conference.
So?
So nobody will doubt my word when I say that I was to join Tall after I'd rested.
It may work. It may.
It may. Oh, it will. It must.
Mar.
Yes, Princess.
See that no harm comes to Flash. If Dr. Zarkov should capture him, he may not understand why Flash acts as he does.
I understand, Princess. I shall explain everything to Zarkov.
And if you should be captured by the Blue Magic Man, find out what hold the Witch Queen has over Flash and try to break the spell.
If that is to be my fate, Princess, you may rest assured I will carry out your mission.
When are you planning on leaving, Ma?
Well, if I try to leave now, it might be difficult. Yes. I shall wait and take my departure tonight.
Leaving our friends for the moment, let us return to the tunnel where Prince Zarkov and his Hawkmen have withdrawn to escape the terrific heat of the combustion ray machine. As the Hawkmen fled into the tunnel, Flash and his officers pursue them, only to be brought up short at the entrance by a wall of solid ice, which Zarkov had miraculously formed with his secret chemical formula. While Flash and his companions reconnoiter outside the entrance to the tunnel, Tall and Azura remain behind the lines.
Of course, if your Majesty knows best, but is my advice for us?
I am not asking your advice, Tall.
Oh, well, that I am well aware, your Majesty. But must I take the liberties of an old and faithful retainer? Mighty Queen, do not let your personal feelings entrap you.
My personal feelings? What do you mean?
Your Majesty has taken a fancy to this young unknown.
Tall.
Oh, I mean no offense, your Majesty. As a consort and companion, the youth is without criticism. But is he the best thing for our fair land?
Will he make a good king?
If your Majesty thinks of him in terms of king, I mean, will he make a good king?
I am very sure he will make a good king, Tall.
Your Majesty was also sure of Locke and Gome.
Those two.
How can you be sure of one who is not even sure of himself?
Flash has protected his love for me day after day. Why, even when the attack began, you heard him say he was repelling it, not to show his bravery or his strength, but to prove his devotion to me.
I was not speaking of his personal assurances, your Majesty.
Well, of what then?
Of his ability to handle the legions at his disposal. When the attack began, did he not confess himself to be in a quandary as to which battery he should train on them?
A careful general always surveys his position.
But he makes up his own mind. Your new commander-in-chief relied on your advice, your Majesty.
And wasn't it good advice?
Well, there is no better judgment in our fair land, your Majesty.
Then what is your point, Tall? What is it you are trying to say?
Why have a figurehead in charge of our legions?
Figurehead?
You can't have a commander who can handle situations as they arise. Why don't you take charge yourself?
I see it now. You want me to demote Flash and appoint you in his place.
If your Majesty feels that perhaps an older and more experienced man, and especially one of our own people, could serve better, why, I should be delighted to accept the honor, your Majesty.
There is some reason for this diplomatic move on your part. What is it? Are the men rebellious because I appointed Flash instead of one of their own number?
I am no bearer of gossip, your Majesty. What others may think is their own business. If they wish to let you know their feelings, they have ways and means to do it. I speak only in your own interest and with the liberty of your major domo.
I do not doubt your word, Tall, but I think you speak one word for me and two for yourself. You honestly think Flash is incapable of making decisions for himself?
I do, your Majesty, I do. You have a chance to witness that for yourself. Our enemy has taken refuge in a tunnel and blockaded themselves with a wall of ice. Your commander has gone to look over the situation.
When you would have
charged with full forces and gone in after the enemy.
I I see.
Your Majesty, I am not trying to go behind your commander's back unfairly, no. I have given you my plan of action. Here he comes now. Hear what he has to say, and choose for yourself which ought to be at the head of the Blue Magic Army.
Well, my prince, what have you to report?
My beautiful queen, we found the enemy barricaded behind a wall of solid ice. There is only one thing we can do.
And that is?
Charge with full forces and go in after the enemy.
You hear, Paul? You hear what Flash proposes?
Yes, I hear, Your Majesty.
Come, Azora. Together we shall lead the charge. All men, for the attack. Follow me.
See these amazing characters in full-color pictures next Sunday in the Comic Weekly, which is an integral part of your Hearst Sunday newspaper. Here is some news for you. Next Sunday, the famous full-page Comic Weekly will replace the tabloid with better and larger pictures and more easily read captions. What a treat is in store for you next Sunday, with Skippy bringing up Father, the Little King, Barney Google, and all those other funny fellows just twice as large. You have enjoyed them in the tabloid size. How much better you will like them in the full-page Comic Weekly. Be sure to get the new full-page Comic Weekly with your Hearst Sunday newspaper next Sunday, and enjoy a half-hour's good, clean fun with the foremost merrymakers in the world of pictures. And don't forget our date next week at this same time for another thrilling chapter in the amazing interplanetary adventures of Flash Gordon.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal, presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound. Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. And now, The Adventures of Superman. Escaping to Germany with a piece of the kryptonite fragment which robs Superman of his strength, Der Teufel, a brilliant Nazi scientist, made his way to a secret cave in the Black Forest where several leading Nazis were hiding. Teufel told Professor Milk, a chemist, that if the kryptonite could be dissolved, the resultant solution, injected into the veins of one of their followers, would create an atom man, a human monster, generating sufficient atomic energy to first control Superman and eventually bring the terrified world to its knees. 48 hours have now passed, and neither Superman nor the Allied police have been able to locate Der Teufel. Once more in his guise of Clark Kent, the Man of Steel nervously paces the floor in the office of Colonel Greeley, Chief of American Intelligence in Berlin. Listen.
For heaven's sake, sit down, Kent. You're getting on my nerves.
Oh, I'm sorry, Colonel. I guess my own nerves are getting a bit ragged. It's just that Teufel has that kryptonite, and he's a brilliant scientist, and, well, he's performed some experiments, something to do with an atom man, which he says will rule the world.
Can't you believe that?
Well...
Say your nerves are in bad shape.
It's just that I know Teufel, you don't. And I know the power of that kryptonite. I tell you, Teufel must be found, and found quickly. He must. But I need help. Even I can't examine every nook and cranny of Germany and all of the 100 million people in it.
Fearful as he has never been before, Clark Kent, who is Superman, waits for some word of Der Teufel. Meanwhile, at a little village near the Black Forest, a young military police sergeant named Bill Nelson has just alighted from a train after a 48-hour leave. In a jeep with Corporal Harry Marks, he is returning over the dark road to his base.
Say, what's that new gadget on the dash, Harry? Looks like a radio.
It is. We're in style now, Bill. Regular big-time cops. They put a two-way set in here day before yesterday, the day you went on leave.
Say, pretty snazzy. Turn it on, see if we can get Bing Crosby.
Are you kidding? Let's see what headquarters has to say.
Number 3, South Central Occupation Zone. All military commanders and occupation police stand by for important announcement.
Oh, what's this?
It is believed that a dangerous German scientist named Der Teufel is now disguised in ragged clothing
Oh, that again.
and carrying papers identifying him as Friedrich Melker of Nuremberg. This man must be apprehended.
Friedrich
He
Melker?
is about 5'7", weight 190 pounds, wears thick eyeglasses. He is believed to have in his possession a small piece of green glowing radioactive metal. Take no chances with this man. He is dangerous. That is all.
We've been getting that announcement every couple hours since you left. They must want that Teufel guy bad. Wonder what that piece of metal is he's carrying around.
Friedrich Melker. No, I've heard that name before.
You have? Where?
I can't remember. But I know I heard it someplace.
Say, seems to me there's somebody in the movies or on the radio named Melker. Oh, I got it. An opera singer. Melchior. That's why it sounds familiar.
Oh, yeah, maybe that's it.
Sure. I'll spruce up, Bill. There are the lights of the inn. We'll be at the base soon. You want to look sharp when you meet up with the CO again. We got a lecture this morning about getting sloppy on occupation duty.
Oh, I shaved on the trip. Harry, stop at the inn.
What for? What's at the inn?
I just remembered. That's where I saw Frederick Melker.
What? Now, wait a minute.
I saw him, I tell you, 2 nights ago, just before I went on leave. Go on, pull up in front.
You saw him where?
In the dining room. He was with Gottfried, the innkeeper. Gottfried said he was his cousin.
Gottfried did? Listen, are you sure?
Sure as I'm sitting here. I was making my last check before going back to the base. And this short, powerful German was with Gottfried. He was wearing ragged clothes and a patch over one eye. I asked him who he was. He said he was Friedrich Melker from Nuremberg. I asked him for his papers.
Did he have them?
They were in order, all right. So I left. But holy smokes, Harry, that guy was Teufel.
Then what are we waiting for? Come on.
Well, it hasn't closed up yet.
Oh, you better check your gun.
Yeah. It's okay. Let's go.
I didn't see anybody around when I was here yesterday or today.
Well, it could be hiding in one of the rooms. Or in the cellar.
If he isn't, Gottfried will know where he is. I never did like that rosy-cheeked crowd. Always fawning. Well, here we are. You're in charge, Sergeant. Proceed.
The place looks empty.
Here comes mine host.
Guten Abend, meine Herren. To what do I
We
owe
came
this?
to see your cousin.
My, cousin?
Yes, you remember. He was here 2 nights ago. His name's Friedrich Melker.
Nobody in the dining room, Bill.
Oh, my cousin Friedrich. Yeah, of course. I'd forgotten he was here. He stayed so short a time.
You mean he's not here now?
Oh, nine. He left soon after you did, Sergeant. But, why do you wish to see Friedrich?
Are you kidding? You know doggone well that
Just a minute, Harry. Where did he go, Gottfried?
He said he was returning to Nuremberg. That is his home.
I see. Mind if we look around a bit?
No, look around, of course not. But,
we'll take a look at the kitchen first. Come on. No, you lead the way, Gottfried.
Yeah, of course, but I do not understand. I tell you, Friedrich does not...
What? He dove behind the bar.
Dirty bum, come back here, Gottfried, or I'll drag you out of there.
Oh! Harry!
Gottfried! My leg. Look out, Bill.
Yeah, I see him. He ducked too quick. Harry, all right?
Just my leg. Oh, never mind me, Bill. Watch when he shows himself again.
You better come out from behind that bar, Gottfried.
I will come out when you are both dead.
Listen, you fool, you can't get away. You better come out while you're still alive.
I saw you.
He shot the light out. Watch it, Bill.
Sit down, Harry.
We can't see the bar.
He can't see us either.
Yes, he can. There's a little moonlight coming in from the window behind us.
So, you seek that Teufel, eh?
Yes, and we'll get him, and you too, Gottfried.
Nein, it is I who will get you, you American swine.
Sit tight, Harry. I'm going after him.
Oh, Bill, you can't see him.
Don't worry. Just hug the floor, fella.
What, Bill?
Quiet.
No, Peak American!
Bill! I'm shot!
Bill!
I'm okay, Harry. I think he's done for, though.
How about you? You sound hurt.
He nicked me in the side. You stay here.
Where are you going?
I'm going to the car. Radio. Gotta call the base.
Bill!
It's okay. I can make it. I hope. Gotta get the car. Call the base. Tell them Harry's hurt. I don't know if I can make it.
Raising his feet and with one hand close to his wounded side to ease the pain, Sergeant Bill Nelson crawls, falls, and crawls again, slowly and tortuously, toward the jeep. Will he make it? Der Teufel is at this moment in the secret cave in the Black Forest, less than a mile away. Superman, if he were here, could see him. We'll return in a moment for the climax of today's episode. But first, here is your announcer with a friendly tip.
Gang, you've heard the word barter, haven't you? You know, B-A-R-T-E-R, barter. That's the ancient way of buying things before they invented money. Means the same as trading or swapping. Well, that whole system of barter has sure been brought up to date since the Kellogg Company began packing those brand new comic buttons in packages of Kellogg's Pep. Why, kids are bartering with those swell comic buttons right and left. For instance, you'll hear a fella say, trade you Superman for Uncle Walt. Or a girl might say to her pal, I've got an extra Smilin' Jack button to trade. Now, that's so they can round out their whole collection of 18 different buttons, each one with a different funny sheet character on it. These new comic buttons are doggone good-looking, too. So, how about getting your collection built up? Ask Mom to get you a package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep, because that's the only way you can get these new comic buttons. You don't send in any money, not even a box top. Can't buy them, in fact. But inside every package of Pep, there's a swell prize, one of these brand new colorful comic buttons, or a military insignia or warplane button. That's P-E-P, Pep, made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. As Sergeant Bill Nelson, badly wounded, is trying to reach his car to inform headquarters that Der Teufel had been in the inn near the Black Forest, Teufel himself, with a Nazi chemist, Professor Ernst Milk, stands at a rough table in the secret cave a mile from the inn. In a test tube, suspended above an improvised oil burner, a small piece of green glowing metal in a purplish liquid suddenly crumbles. There is a white-hot flash, and then the liquid in the tube turns green and boils violently, emitting a scorching green steam.
Ah, Himmer, you've done it, Milk.
Ja, Teufel. The kryptonite is at last dissolved.
Wunderbar. My converter is already prepared. It remains only to select the one among us who shall become the savior of the fatherland.
I have been considering that for that worked. He should be young or at a man, and strong.
Yeah.
And imbued with a hatred for our enemies. And I have decided that my son is the perfect choice.
Your son? I have observed him. He is young and strong, and he did well in the war, did he not?
He received the Iron Cross from the hands of the Führer himself. I've spoken to him of this experiment. He begs for the honor.
Good. Prepare him then. In a few minutes, when the kryptonite solution has cooled, we will inject it into his veins. And in 1 hour, the first atom man will walk the earth to bend first Superman to his will, and then the rest of the world.
1 hour. In 1 hour, Der Teufel states, an atomic monster will leave the dark cave in the Black Forest, first to subdue Superman, and then all civilization. Is there a chance yet for Superman to stop him? Only 1 hour remains. 60 minutes. What will happen? We'll find out tomorrow, so don't fail to be with us then, fellows and girls. Tune in, same time, same station, and thrill to the adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the adventures of Superman, brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep, the super delicious cereal presents The Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman. And now, The Adventures of Superman. In a secret cave in the Black Forest of Germany, a Nazi chemist succeeded in dissolving a piece of pure, highly radioactive kryptonite, which had been stolen by Der Teufel, a brilliant but unscrupulous scientist. Teufel prepared to inject the solution into the veins of a young Nazi, who, in a short time, he said, would become an atomic monster, able to generate such intense power and energy within his body that the entire world, including Superman, would become his slaves. Meanwhile, an American military police sergeant named Bill Nelson had traced Teufel to an inn, from which an underground tunnel led to the cave in the forest. In a gunfight with the innkeeper, Nelson and a companion were wounded. And as we continue now at the American occupation base in a nearby village, a radio operator hurriedly summons Major Carroll, the commanding officer. Listen.
Major Carroll, will you come here, sir?
Yes, Corporal, what is it?
We've been getting a signal from Sergeant Nelson, sir. I think he's in trouble.
Well, what kind of trouble?
I don't know. I can't quite make him out. Something about... Listen.
Nelson. Calling. Base. Nelson.
There he is again. You hear him, sir?
Yes, answer him.
Base.
Well, I have, but he doesn't seem to hear me.
Well, try again.
South Central Zone 3 to Sergeant Nelson. We hear you. What's the trouble? Come in.
What's the matter with him? He doesn't answer.
No, he doesn't.
Need help. Wounded.
Says he needs help. He's wounded. Ask him where he is.
Yes, sir. Where are you, Bill? Where are you?
I traced.
What was that? Something about trace. He said that before.
Teufel.
Teufel? Great Caesar, he's trying to tell us he's traced to Teufel. Tell him we heard him and ask him where he is.
Yes, sir. We heard you, Bill. You traced Teufel and you're wounded. Tell us where you are.
In? Where?
Gottfried. Oh.
He said that...
Gottfried. He must mean Gottfried's Inn. I'll go there at once. Now stand by, Corporal. I may have an important message for you to flash to Berlin. Lieutenant Harris.
As Major Carroll and a detachment of soldiers start for Gottfried's Inn, Superman, unaware of this latest development, has made an important decision. After one more fruitless effort to find Der Teufel, the Man of Steel, in his guise of reporter Clark Kent, has just entered the office of Colonel Greeley, Chief of American Intelligence.
I've come to say goodbye, Colonel.
Goodbye? Where are you going, Kent?
Back to America.
But you're here on the Teufel story. You're not going home before we find him.
I must. If he hasn't been found by now, he won't be.
Nonsense, Kent. It may take time, but we'll get him eventually.
Eventually is too late, Colonel. 1 week more, even 1 day more, may be too late.
Too late for what?
To save Superman. And perhaps far more than Superman.
Save Superman? Oh, you're harping on that kryptonite nonsense again.
Believe me, Colonel, it isn't nonsense. Kryptonite is Superman's one mortal enemy.
Oh, come now, Kent.
Believe me, it is. And now Der Teufel has it. He's one of the most brilliant scientists Germany ever developed. And he knows the power of that kryptonite. He's trying to develop some sort of an atom man with it to rule the world.
An atom man, huh?
Yes.
Look, Kent, you're too smart a reporter to believe anything as fantastic as that.
Well, they said the atomic bomb was fantastic, too, Colonel, before the first one fell on Hiroshima.
Yes, but an atom man? That's too incredible.
I hope so, but I'm not at all sure. That's why I can't waste another minute. I've got to get back to Metropolis, where where a friend of mine is trying to perfect a defense against the kryptonite.
A defense for Superman?
That's right. So I'll be saying goodbye, Colonel, and thanks for everything.
Well, there's nothing to thank me for, Kent. I've enjoyed having you around. But have a nice trip home and say hello to the Statue of Liberty for me.
I will. So long, Colonel.
Goodbye.
Let's see. There are plenty of deserted offices at this late hour. Yeah, this will do. I'll just close the door. And out of these clothes. Colonel Greeley thinks there's nothing for Superman to worry about, eh? Well, I know there is. Dr. Millison must find some defense against the kryptonite. That's my only chance to survive. There we are, all set. Up with this window. And back to Metropolis. Up, and away! Leaping high into the starry night sky, Superman streaks away to the west.
across the continent of Europe and out over the broad Atlantic toward Metropolis. Meanwhile, in a musty, dimly lit cave deep in the Black Forest of Germany, the dread menace which Superman fears is being prepared against him. On a rough bunk lies a tall, slim, blonde-haired young German. His eyes are closed and he breathes heavily, laboriously, his chest straining to its utmost as the breath rasps from his lips. A long rubber tube extends from a taped clasp on his forearm to a glass vial suspended above the bunk, in which the last drops of a thick, brilliantly green liquid are disappearing into the tube. Leaning over one side of the bunk, his eyes popping behind thick-lensed spectacles, is Der Teufel, his fingers on the sleeping German's pulse. On the other side, his face white and tense, stands the shaggy-haired chemist, Professor Milch.
How is his pulse, Teufel?
It is very rapid. But in a few moments, when the kryptonite solution is taken into his blood, it will recede to normal.
You say it will, but how do you know? Such an experiment as this has never been attempted before.
I am confident we will succeed.
You are confident. It is not your son who lies there, it is mine.
You offered him for this great service to the fatherland, and he pleaded for the honor. Do you now regret it?
Nein, of course not. It is just that now I'm afraid for him.
You should not be afraid. Rather be proud. For I give your son the opportunity of visiting such terror and destruction upon his hated enemies as is almost beyond imagination. But first the great Superman will bow to him and do his will.
Yeah, that is good, Teufel, good. But why does he not regain consciousness? The solution is all gone now from the vial.
In a moment. The kryptonite is a great shock to his system. Remove the transfusion tube.
Yeah.
I will attach the converter so that when he awakes, he will be ready.
Yeah. That small square box you attach to his throat. That is the converter?
Yeah. It fits above the jugular vein. This little switch here. When it is thrown, an impulse flashes to the kryptonite in his blood, rearranging the outer structures of the atoms. They rush toward his hands, on which he will wear the meshed platinum and thorium gloves I showed you. At that point, the nucleus of the atom is broken, and there will emerge from his fingers such a stream of energy that anything in its path, be it men or great buildings or even mountains, will disappear as if they had never been there.
Yeah, the theory I understand, Teufel. You need not lecture me as if I was a schoolboy. But so far it's only a theory. My son's life is at stake. What I wish to know, will the theory become a fact?
Wait. It begins.
You mean?
See, his labored breathing subsides. And feel for yourself how his pulse beat lowers.
Yeah, it appears normal now. And see his eyelids flutter.
Yeah. In the moment, Milch, our atom man will be born.
Rigid with excitement, Der Teufel and Professor Milch bend over the tall, blond German youth on the bunk, as the other Nazis in the cave crowd close behind them. We'll return in a moment for the dramatic climax of today's episode. But first, here's a mighty swell suggestion.
Say, gang, you'll want to spread the news around to all your friends that you're collecting those slick new comic buttons that now come in packages of Kellogg's Pep. Because that's the only way they'll know you can trade duplicates with them. And you wouldn't want to miss out on that fun. You want to be sure you round out your collection of all 18 different buttons. Yep, that's 18 different comic strip characters. Like Smitty and K.O. and Herbie and Superman, of course. And the best part is, you don't have to send in a single penny for these sharp, new comic buttons. Not even a box top. Fact is, you can't buy them anywhere. But you can ask Mom to get you a package of that super delicious whole wheat flake cereal, Kellogg's Pep. Inside each package, there's a thrilling prize. One of these bright new comic buttons or a military insignia or warplane button. Remember, that's P-E-P, Pep. Made by Kellogg's of Battle Creek.
And now, back to the adventures of Superman. In a musty, dim-lit cave in the Black Forest of Germany, where Der Teufel has injected Professor Milch's son with a solution of kryptonite, Teufel, Milch, and 10 other Nazis gaze down breathlessly at the tall, blond young German on the rough bunk. 1 minute. 2 minutes have passed since the youth's eyelids quivered, and he seemed to be regaining consciousness. Now, Professor Milch's voice trembles as he says,
"What is wrong, Teufel? Why does he not regain consciousness?"
I do not know.
See how pale he is. But his pulse, feel his pulse. It grows so faint.
Yeah, I do not understand.
But why do you just stand there? Do something.
There's nothing that I can do. Everything seemed most satisfactory. He seemed to absorb the shock of the transfusion well. You saw yourself how his labored bleeding subsided and his pulse lowered. Perhaps in a moment.
In a moment he will be dead.
9
Give
years.
me no more words. Save my son. Do something, I tell you.
Restrain yourself,
Restrain myself. I tell you that my son is... There's no heartbeat.
There must be.
There's not. Yes. You murdered my son, Teufel.
Impossible. Everything went as planned. My computations were exact. I checked them over and over.
You killed him, I tell you. You killed him.
Impossible, I say. Impossible. I could not make such a mistake. It is impossible.
Scowling, the Teufel shakes his head stubbornly as he glowers down at the pale, motionless body of the young German on the cot. Is the youth really dead? And has der Teufel's monstrous plot against Superman and all civilization failed? Or is the crafty and brilliant scientist right when he continues to repeat?
Impossible, I say. He cannot be dead. Der Teufel cannot be wrong. It is impossible.
What is the truth? Don't fail to hear tomorrow's exciting episode when we learn. Tune in, same time, same station, for the Adventures of Superman.
Faster than a speeding bullet. More powerful than a locomotive. Able to leap tall buildings at a single bound.
Look, up in the sky. It's a bird. It's a plane. It's Superman.
Fellows and girls, be sure to follow the Adventures of Superman. Brought to you every day, Monday through Friday, same time, same station, by the grand old Kellogg Company of Battle Creek. And for other thrilling adventures of Superman, see your local newspaper. Superman is also a copyrighted feature appearing in Superman DC publications.
Kellogg's Pep, the build-up wheat cereal, invites you to rocket into the future with Corbett, Space Cadet. Stand by to raise shift. Blast off -5, 4, 3, 2, 1, 0. As towering rockets blast off to distant planets and far-flung stars, we take you to the age of the conquest of space with Corbett, Space Cadet. The newly discovered planet Delport, a tropical paradise and rich in mineral wealth, has been officially opened for colonization. And in the most important land rush of the 24th century, 5 rocket ships from Earth race through outer space to stake their claims. Tom, Corbett, and Astro, as part of the Solar Guard unit policing the land rush, have transferred to a jet boat above the planet's surface. Roger Manning and Captain Strong are in the rocket cruiser Polaris. Together, they will supervise the landing.
Jet boat to Polaris. Jet boat to Polaris. Come in, please.
Polaris here. What's up, Tom?
Just reporting, Roger. The expedition ship Argosy has entered Delport's atmosphere. I can see her in the viewport. She's circling, getting ready to set down.
How about the other ships?
All accounted for. The New World second with the Thespian and the Draco trailing. Thespian's moving up, though.
Okay. By the way, Tom, Captain Strong says, congratulations on the way you and Astro handled that oxygen break on the New World.
Tell him thanks, but the big bow goes to Chatfield of the Thespian. If he hadn't turned his ship back to help us, we wouldn't be here.
I shouldn't have been there to handle it, Junior. Then you wouldn't have needed any help at all.
That's Roger Manning, all mouth and no modesty.
I heard that, you Venusian hillbilly. If you think...
That's all for now, Roger. Astro and I have work to do. We'll get back to you after the landing.
All right.
Astro, try to get a bearing of them on the Thespian. I want to see if she's into atmosphere yet.
Will do. Wait a minute. Yep. There she is on the viewer.
Uh-huh. That means the Draco's going to be the last one in.
Now the scramble starts. Once they locate that mineral deposit along the lake, they'll all be after it.
Well, it'll belong to the first one who stakes a claim. Our job is just to keep an eye on it.
And a pretty careful eye. From here on, there's going to be some fancy jockeying for position.
It's already started. Look in the viewer.
Yeah, I see. The Argosy, the Thespian, and the New World are all headed for that spot.
Looks like the Argosy will make it first, though. She's got a fair lead.
They'll all have to start firing their braking rockets any second now.
We might as well relax and enjoy the fun. Not yet, Astro. If there's any rough stuff, we've got to be ready to move in.
I say, Polk, how does it look?
Not so good, Mr. Chatfield. The New World and the Argosy are ahead of us.
I'd have given anything to have staked out that claim on the lakefront. Beastly luck.
It's time to try my luck. Remember, I'm Lucky Leo. I'm getting there first.
Hold on, Polk, hold on. We can't head in there now. It's time to start breaking.
And give up the claim? No, sir. We plunge right ahead. That's the one thing they won't expect.
You can't, man. We're liable to cause a three-ship crash.
They'll get out of the way when they see we mean business.
Patrol jet boat to Thespian. Jet boat to Thespian.
Better answer your audio, Mr. Chatfield.
Thespian to jet boat. Chatfield here. What's the trouble?
Fire your braking rockets, Chatfield. You're getting too close to the other ship.
All right. We'll take care of it.
Okay.
You heard that, Polk? Fire the braking rockets.
Not yet.
Then get away from those controls. I'm taking
Now, Chatfield. You make a wrong move, I'll wreck this ship.
You must be space mad. The others won't give you right of way. There'll be a crash.
That's their lookout. If you hadn't played hero, rescued Sutton and his crew, he wouldn't be ahead of us now.
There was no choice. I had to do it.
And I have to do this. I've got a land claim coming, and it's going to be on the lakefront.
But not at the price of crashing another ship.
At any price. Here goes. I'm heading right into that lane, and crash or no crash, I'm getting through.
Look at that fool ship, Tom. What's the matter with Chatfield?
I wish I knew. Let's get him again. Patrol jet calling Thespian. Come in, Thespian. He's not answering you. Thespian, do you read me? Come in, Chatfield.
There he goes, diving right between the New World and the Argosy.
Quick, Galaxy. Come on, Astro. We've got to stop it.
Hey, you're the boss. Let's move in.
I'll try the audio again. Patrol jet to Thespian. Veer off, Thespian. That's an order.
They must have gone crazy aboard that ship.
Patrol jet. Patrol jet. This is Sutton on the New World. Do something quick. That idiot Chatfield is going to kill us all.
I'm trying to head him off, Sutton. He doesn't answer his audio.
Look out, Corbett. The way he's headed now, he's plunging straight toward you.
That's right, Tom. Hang on. We're going to crash. We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Well, spacemen, the days are getting longer, the weather's getting warmer, and vacation time is right around the corner. Say, you know what that means? Well, it means you'll have more time to do the things you really want to do, to get outdoors and run around with your friends. Of course, it also means you're going to need plenty of food energy. So you ask Mom to get you a package of that wonderful build-up wheat cereal, that swell-tasting cereal, Kellogg's Pep. And remember, when you do that, you're right in line to receive an important piece of official equipment from Space Academy Supply Headquarters. Now, just think of the fun and excitement you'll have wearing a pair of official space goggles. They're made of one sweeping curved piece of clear colored plastic. You look like a regular space cadet when you wear these space goggles. You like to wear them when you're out on the beach because they help reduce squinting sun glare. And you make these space goggles your standard equipment when you're riding in a car or piloting your bicycle against a heavy wind. Now, here's how you can get your very own pair of official space goggles. Make a note. Take one box top from Kellogg's Pep, 25 cents, and your name and address. One box top from Kellogg's Pep, 25 cents, and your name and address. Send to Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan. Repeat. Send to Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan. Spaceman, send away today for your official pair of space goggles.
As the spaceships of the expedition rushed to lay claim to the richest land on the planet Del Forte, Tom and Astro in a jet boat policed the landing. Seeing the rocket ship Thespian attempts to illegally cut in ahead of its rivals, Tom dives his jet into the jam-up, desperately trying to avoid a three-ship collision. But suddenly the Thespian, swooping like a huge vulture, veers toward the tiny jet.
The crazy rocket head, he's going to ram us. I'm trying to pull above him, Astro. I don't know if I can make it.
Why in Jupiter doesn't he fire his braking rockets?
Wait, he is firing them. We're going to clear by the skin of our teeth.
Yeah, but not the Argosy, Tom. Look, trying to veer off. She's gone out of control.
Astro, that ship's in a nosedive straight for the lake.
There she goes, into the water. The Argosy's gone.
Finished. With its entire crew. Come on, Astro. We've got to make a landing fast. That's where she went under, Tom. Right off this point. And no sign of her. No sign at all. Hold on, Tom. I just caught a flash of metal over beyond that ridge. Where? Oh, yeah. I see it, too. Train your scope on. Let me focus. Yep. It's Chatfield's ship, the Thespian, all right. Okay. What are we waiting for? Let's corner that space rat and tell him the penalty for murder. There's the Thespian, but it looks deserted. I guess everybody's out to stake their blood-soaked claim. Wait a minute, Tom. Somebody's coming out of the forward hatch, climbing down the landing ladder. Chatfield, halt in the name of the Solar Alliance. Come on, Astro, and keep him covered. Don't you worry about that.
Thank heavens you come. Tell me, what happened to the Argosy?
Take his weapon, Astro.
Got it. Tell me, Corbett, what happened?
Isn't murder bad enough without being a hypocrite in the bargain?
Murder? Oh, no.
Oh, yes, Chatfield. The whole crew's dead. Every single man.
How very terrible.
Come with us, Chatfield. You're under arrest.
Of course. I'll go quietly.
I don't get it. Out in space, you turned back of your own accord to save our lives. Jeopardized your whole position in the race.
Of course. That's the spaceman's code.
And how could you do this thing?
How could? Just a moment, Cadet. As the Thespian's owner, I've got to take responsibility. But you don't think that I, personally, you couldn't think that...
We know exactly what to think. Come along, Chatfield. You can tell us of the solar course. Just a minute, Astro. Chatfield, what are you trying to say?
Why, that Polk took over the ship.
What? Lucky Leo?
That's right. He ignored my commands completely. Paid no attention when I ordered braking rockets.
Well, that's a pretty thin yarn.
But the truth. And don't forget, you cadets screened Polk, brought him to me to hire.
He's got something there, Astro. Lucky Leo. Where is he, Chatfield?
How should I know? As soon as we sat down, he headed for the hills to stake a claim.
Astro, we've got to find him. Right, Tom.
Tell me, cadets, am I at liberty to stake out my own claim?
Not just yet. We'll have to report all this to Captain Strong.
Alas, alas. Is this why I have raced halfway across the universe? To have the prize snatched from me for something which was no fault of mine?
We don't know whose fault it was. Not yet.
But by the time I am cleared, and I am certain I shall be cleared, all the most desirable land will have been claimed.
Sorry, Chatfield, it's out of our hands. This is a decision Captain Strong will have to make.
Polaris calling Chatfield. Come in, Tom.
Roger, what's the decision?
Release Chatfield, pending further investigation.
That is all I was waiting to hear. Goodbye, all. I'll see you around.
Any further orders, Roger?
Yeah, Captain Strong wants you to scour the whole Lake District. For Polk, when you find him, bring him to the Polaris. The captain wants him.
The captain wants him? No more than we do, sonny boy. No more than we do. Any sign yet, Tom? That's the fifth party we've spotted, Astro, but no Polk. Maybe he's not trying for lakeside land. Sure he is. Lucky Leo'd go for the jackpot every time. It could be, but... Tom, look there near the top of the ridge. Isn't that somebody staking out a claim? You're right. Can't tell who, though, even with a view glass. That thick underbrush hides him. Well, do we put down and investigate? Uh-huh. That's part of the rich mineral area. And you can be sure of one thing. Where there's wealth, there's Polk. Coming to the summit of the ridge, Astro. He's over this way, I think. Keep your gun handy. He may put up a fight. Don't worry, he will.
Look out! Get back! You fall!
Who's that? Tom, look, there's a man falling into the lake.
Oh, come on!
And there's Polk running down the side of the ridge.
Polk, stop! In the name of the... into the lake! I'm going to save him!
Polk, wait! Will you look at that? He's diving off the high ridge.
He'll be killed.
There he goes! Hurry, Astro. Hurry, we've got to pick up the pieces. It's no use, Tom. We can't revive Sutton. I'm afraid you're right, Castro. He's gone.
Poor guy.
How did this happen, Polk?
Just a freak accident, Corbett. I just finished staking out that ridge when I saw Sutton coming.
You mean you had it staked before he arrived?
That's right.
Well, then what?
Well, I was waiting to tell Sutton he was too late. But about 50 yards from me, he missed his footing, started tumbling back toward the ledge. Well, I shouted a warning to him, but it was too late. He went right over into the lake.
We saw you jump in after him.
Too late, though. Boys, I feel pretty awful about this.
It's still pretty lucky for you that you tried just the same.
What do you mean?
Well, Pope, jumping in to save another man's life is going to be a point in your favor when...
Wait a minute. When what?
When Captain Strong tries to find out who's to blame for the crash of the Argosy.
You're out of your mind. Chatfield was in command of the Thespian.
He admits that. He also claims you disobeyed his orders, that you blasted right ahead, so that you're responsible.
Boys, that's the best yarn I've heard in years. And will I punch it full of holes?
Well, you'll get your chance. Captain Strong wants to see you at once.
Lead me to him. Just one thing.
What's that?
I want to make sure of my claim. Covers the lakefront there and the entire ridge.
Okay, you know how to fill out the form. Chatfield, as rocket ship owner, gets 60% and you get 40%.
Boys, that's not quite the situation. I'm claiming a full 100%.
Well, you can't do that. Only ship owners can claim full title.
Yeah, but you see, I happen to be a ship owner.
What?
Well, nothing in the regulations says a man has to come on his own ship. I came on the Thespian, but I'm owner of the Draco.
The one that came in last?
That's right.
Well, I'll be... Hey, you're a shrewd boy, Polk. I wonder. What, Tom? Astro, I've been adding things up in my mind. See if this makes sense to you. Sure.
What's all the space gas? If Strong wants to see me, let's go.
This won't take long. Astro, let's say there's a ship owner. He's got a slow ship. He knows it won't be the first one in, so he tries to sign on as a crew member on a faster rocket.
Nothing in the rules against it, boys. Not a thing.
That's right. But the crews are all set. So our man puts on the uniform of a New World crewman, almost kills the pilot of the Thespian, and gets hired in his place.
Space gas, Corbett, you're dreaming.
Go ahead, Tom. Dream some more. Now he's on the Thespian, but the New World's in the race, too, and she's a fast ship. So you know what he does, Astro?
Listen, Corbett, you better be careful.
What does he do, Tom? He starts a fire at the spaceport. While everybody's putting it out, he rigs up a bomb aboard the New World, set to blow up while it's in space. Does it add, Astro?
It does, Tom.
Well, add this in, too, Space Cadets.
It's got a heat ray.
Sometimes it doesn't pay to be so smart, Corbett. Poke, put away that gun.
Sure.
After I've taken care of you two, throw away your guns and start walking toward the lake. Do as he says, Astro. That's right. Now walk in front of me to the edge of the water. In 1 minute flat, you'll be dead. And those big red Delport fishes will take it from there.
We'll return to the exciting adventures of Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, in just a moment. So stand by.
Now hear this. The crew of the Hydra, before blast off on training flight to Terra Space Station, report to launching platform H-45 for inspection by Captain Hines.
Cadet Campbell, fall out for inspection. Let's see. The spacesuit's in order. Communicator belt, check. Electronic telescope, check. But what's this? Where are your space goggles? Cadet, this is serious. You've read your space manual. You know that space goggles are essential equipment for every cadet. I'll have to put you on report for this.
Well, Spaceman, that happened a couple of days ago, and that cadet's ears are still burning. You know, the captain had good reason to get mad. He was actually looking after that cadet because space goggles keep a cadet's eyes protected. And when you get your pair of official space goggles, you want to make them your standard equipment. When you're out at the beach, riding your bicycle, or working in your laboratory, these streamlined, curved, one-piece, colored space goggles protect your eyes from the glare of the sun and heavy winds. And, Spaceman, it's so easy to get a pair of official space goggles. Just send one box top from Kellogg's Pep, 25 cents, and your name and address. Now, you better write that down. One box top from Kellogg's Pep, 25 cents, and your name and address. Send to this address, Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan. Kellogg's, Box 346, Battle Creek, Michigan. Spaceman, send for your official space goggles today, and tomorrow, start off your day the spaceman's way with a build-up wheat cereal, Kellogg's Pep.
On the shore of the huge lake on planet Delport, Tom and Astro finally locate Leo Polk and accuse him of several crimes besides the crash of the rocket ship Argus. Polk draws a gun, and after disarming the two cadets, he orders them to walk before him toward the lake. Knowing that only a moment stands between them and certain death, Tom stalls for time.
You won't escape the Solar Guard, Polk. They'll know you killed us.
You underestimate me, Corbett. I can outsmart them just as I outsmarted you with my story of Sutton's accident.
You mean you killed him, too?
And right before our eyes. That was smart, Polk. Tell us about it.
Sure, why not? You'll never spill it to anyone. I knocked Sutton off that cliff because he got to this claim first. Then I dove into the lake and held him underwater until I was sure he was through.
Very clever.
Yeah, but there's one thing you've overlooked. Captain Strong knows we came to look for you, and he's pretty good at putting two and two together.
He can suspect till Jupiter jumps its orbit, proving it'll be another story. You two will be at the bottom of the lake, and in no shape to talk.
Tom, let's take a chance and go for it.
Not yet.
Got that, you two. This is your finish.
Maybe there's something else you ought to know.
Quit stalling. Turn around now.
I'm not stalling. Polk, while you were boasting about how you killed Sutton, I had the transmitter button pushed down on my belt communicator.
You mean your communicator was broadcasting his confession?
That's a lie. I don't believe it.
You don't? Then listen.
A jet boat.
They heard it, Polk. Heard your confession. They're coming for you.
Who are they?
Captain Strong, of course, and Roger Manning. They're tuned into our communicators all the time.
Coming up fast, right behind you.
You're bluffing. I know you're bluffing. That can't be the Polaris jet boat. You were using it.
Okay, then don't turn around. Don't look. But there's a ray gun on the jet, and when it hits you in the back, you...
Move, you two, move. Get back there in the shadow of the cliff.
Sorry, that's an order we're not going to take.
Get back or I'll blast you.
Go ahead, fire that weapon, and the next second Strong will burn you to ash.
That can't be from the Polaris.
Why don't you turn around? See for yourself. I can spot the markings from here.
Scared, Tom. Really scared. Turning around.
Not the jet,
Oh, guilty! Get off! Let the hand. Hold him, Tom. I'm getting his last gun. You dirty space Tom.
I'll show you. You will, huh? Well, here's something to show you.
Who's lucky now?
Beauty, Tom, right on the button.
Thank Jupiter for that jet up there, Astro. I wonder who it is.
You mean that whole business with the communicator was a phony?
Just a big bluff. Come on, let's give this guy a welcome. He saved our lives. Hello there.
Corbett! Astro! What are you doing here?
It's Chatfield.
I saw you from the air. I say, isn't that Polk lying on the ground?
It sure is.
What happened?
We're taking him in for murder.
Among other things.
What was he doing here? Staking out a claim?
That's right.
Well, would a criminal be allowed a claim?
After what's happened, Polk will be disqualified.
Then all this choice land is going begging?
That's right, sir.
By the bard of Avon, it's mine then. I claim it here and now.
No reason why you can't.
This is the cream of the guest. The first shall be last, and the last shall be first, eh?
It's poetic justice, all right, Mr. Chatfield.
Poetic justice. Yes, 'tis all of that. I'm really at a loss for words. But there must be something of the bard's to befit the occasion.
Oh, there is, Mr. Chatfield. How about all's well that ends well?
Don't miss the next action-packed adventure of Tom, Corbett, and the Space Cadets when they work with the Solar Intelligence Corps on Rhea, a moon of Saturn, the satellite of death. Tune in, same time, same station for the next thrilling interplanetary adventure with Tom Corbett, Space Cadet.
Brought to you by Kellogg's Pep, a build-up wheat cereal.
Tom Corbett, Space Cadet, starring Frankie Thomas, can also be seen on television and appears in the comic sections of many of America's leading newspapers. Look for it daily and in weekend editions. Featured in the cast were Jan Merlin, Hal Markham, and Maurice Tarplin. Today's program was written by Gilbert Braun and directed by Drex Hines. Jackson Beck speaking.
Kellogg's Raisin Bran, raisins and bran flakes too. They're out of this world, they're out of one package. Kellogg's Raisin Bran.
Kellogg's raisins are honeycomb coated to keep them tender. The bran flakes crisper. Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Raisins and bran flakes too. They're out of this world. They're out of one package. Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Eat Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Eat Kellogg's Raisin Bran. Eat Kellogg's.
We offer you Escape.
You are deep in the remote hill country of Afghan, face to face with the fierce Pathan warriors, trapped into a hopeless fight from which there seems no escape.
Escape, designed to free you from the four walls of today for a half hour of high adventure.
Tonight, we escape to the north of India and to a battle long remembered, as Rudyard Kipling described it in his famous story, The Drums of the Fore and Aft. When I came out from England to serve as a news correspondent with the British troops on the North Indian border, Regiment number 329A was called the Fore and Aft, Princess Herrenfelder in Zern Royal Light Infantry. Fore and Aft. But now, behind their backs, men call them the Fore and Aft. You know, when certain words are shouted in front of other barracks, the troops may come out with belts and fists. But the mere whisper of Fore and Aft brings out the men of this regiment with rifles in their hands and murder in their eyes. I think perhaps the story of how the Fore and Aft got its name may be really more the story of Jakin and Peggy Liu, two of the toughest and most lovable little monsters who ever banged a drum or tooted a fife in a military band. They were both about the same age, with curly hair and the faces of cherubs. And inside were two souls that should have belonged to a pair of devils. Oh, I must have seen them before, of course. But the first occasion I can recall was an informal regimental court the colonel was holding in the orderly room one morning. Piggy and Jakin were there, and they were in trouble, as usual.
All right, Sergeant. Read the charges.
Yes, sir. The charge is made by one Smithers, a civilian, that while walking back to the bazaar at 6 p.m. last evening, he was set upon without provocation by two drummers from the corps band, known as Jakin and Piggy Lou, and by them was beaten into near insensibility.
Fighting again. Go on, Sergeant.
Mr. Smithers states further that he was struck down by the two defendants, and while lying on the ground was kicked repeatedly in the face and ribs, escaping with his life only through the timely arrival of a detachment of the guard. That's all, sir.
Well, what about it, Jakin? Piggy, is this the truth?
Oh, yes, sir. We gave him what for, all right.
Confound it, you two little heathens, the more trouble than all the rest of the regiment put together. You're hailed in here and charges every time you turn around. I can't very well put you in cells or hang you.
Oh, no, sir. We shouldn't want that at all.
That will do, Jakin.
Yes, sir.
All right, Sergeant, turn them over to the bandmaster and have them tan their hides. Tell them to make it one they'll remember this time.
Yes, sir.
Begging your pardon, sir, but can't we say nothing in our own defense?
That's right, sir. What if a bloomin' civilian city reports you for having a bit of a turn-up with a friend? Suppose he tried to get money out of you, sir, and then...
That will do, Piggy. Then you were fighting.
Well, only between ourselves, sir, and that don't count.
If you'll pardon me, Colonel, this man Smithers does have a reputation for that sort of thing, blackmail, you know. And one thing the boys don't do is lie.
It's not that we'd mind it, sir, to be called up by even a corporal. But we can't have no blinking civilians interfering with the business of Her Majesty's regiment.
All right. We'll forget the birching. You're both confined to quarters for 3 days.
But, sir...
And throw away that pipe when you get outside, Piggy. You're too young to be smoking.
Yes, sir.
All right, Smith. Confounded Kipling, I don't know what to do with the lads. They're not really bad at heart. And they've never known any home but the army.
Where did they come from, by the way?
Oh, Jakin is from some back street in London, and Piggy Lou is straight off the Calcutta docks. In both cases, ancestry unknown.
Well, they seem loyal enough to the regiment at any rate.
They are, and loyal to each other in their own way. I'm inclined to think sometimes they've got more real spirit than all of those new regulars put together.
Yes, I'd say you're overloaded with green troops, Colonel.
Overloaded? 90% of the regiment were in Manchester factories and Lancashire farms 6 months ago. Can't take a soldier that late at time.
Any chance of action fairly soon?
No, off the record, we'll probably move north in about 10 days. Not to the front, of course. We'll give them a few months of guarding communication lines. Let them shake down a bit before they see any real action.
Yes, good idea.
That's the only thing to do. There's only one thing certain. This regiment is not ready for action yet. Only don't write that back to your paper.
But the gods who govern armies seldom choose the wisest plan. On the Afghan border, a large force of Pathan guerrillas began massing near the Khyber Valley, being held in check temporarily by a regiment of Highlanders and a regiment of native Gurkhas. A week later, the Fore and Aft was ordered to march north, contact the other two regiments, and carry out joint action to disperse the enemy. Parade ground and barracks began to hum with preparations for the coming campaign. Privates walked with a new swagger. Subalterns began to snap their salutes and orders. And the young officers nearly shot one another at pistol practice. Battle. A glorious word to men who'd never fired a gun at a human being in their entire lives. But to Piggy and Jakin, the excitement was like salt in an open wound. For the band was reduced to 20 men, and the drummer boys were being left behind.
Blimey, if I'm going to let him do it to me, Jakin. Me, what's going to have a career in the army, being left behind like an old boot.
And why should you worry? Now you can stay here with that bloomin' girl of yours.
Oh, what's a girl when the regiment's going up to the front? And that's another thing, too. How am I going to explain to her about being left behind with the women?
What do you have to explain anything to her for? She's only 13.
Oh, I've been telling her I'd get myself a medal when the first campaign come along. Now am I going to do it now, I ask you?
Perhaps the drum major will give you a bloomin' medal for tooting on a fife. Piggy the musician.
Oh, stow it. Right at the moment, I don't feel like fighting even you.
Ed and the Backs are going to take Tom Kidd along. He used to be the bugler. Of course, he's 18, though.
That he is. But I can plaster the wall with him any day. And with one hand behind me back.
Perhaps we can hit him around a bit. Just enough so he can't bugle no more. You get hold his hands, Piggy, and then I'll kick him in.
No. They still wouldn't take us. Our reputations ain't what they might be, you know.
Oh, well. I'll just leave stay here and do a bit of low for myself.
With our own regiment going into action? Why, I'll just leave have my...
Hey, look who's coming.
You know, Jakin, me lad, I think I'll have a little talk with this colonelship.
Have you going to have with a eat?
Oh, the colonel's a good old beggar. Here, roll me pipe.
Blimey, now we're in for it again.
I beg your pardon, sir.
Well, Piggy, are the drums in revolt? Am I to be pulled down right here in the open?
No, sir. I'd like the pleasure of a word with you, sir.
All right, go ahead and have it.
I'm asking you, sir. If you thought the world and all of your regiment and it was going off to active duty without you, sir, then how'd you feel?
I'm afraid I should feel a bit left out of things.
And worse. It's as bad as being a blinking civilian, if you'll pardon me, sir. But that's how Jakin and me feels about it.
Well, you've no idea what a campaign can be like. Why, you'd flop on your face in the first 20 miles.
No, we wouldn't, sir. We're good at marching. I've told my girl I'd bring her back a medal. I've just got to go. And anyhow, if I stay here, the bandmaster will make a blessed musician out of me, sir.
I see. I think you could pass a physical...
Oh, not the slightest doubt of it, sir. We're both of us very healthy for our age. Please, sir.
All right. I suppose it's unheard of for a border regiment to take drummers along an active campaign. But if you get past the medical officer, you can both go along.
Blimey! Deacon, did you hear that? We're going up to the front. Thank you, sir. Carry on.
The regiment marched out of the station 2 days later, and all those left behind lied in the road that led past the parade ground. The band stood by and played them out, waiting to fall in at the foot of the column. And although Jakin perspired and beat on his drum manfully to cover up, it was quite evident that Piggy Lou was not with the band. Jakin kept glancing at the cedar hedge behind him, and I had a rather good idea why Piggy was being detained.
You've got to be awful careful. You take real good care of yourself, Piggy. You're so venturesome. I worry all the time.
It's odd, Chris. I'll grant you it's odd, but what's a man to do when his regiment's called off to active duty now? Here, give us another kiss.
Oh, Piggy.
That's more like it.
You'd have stayed here like you ought to. You could have had as many as you wanted.
If I'd done that, Chris, you wouldn't think anything of me.
Like as not. At least I'd had you with me, Piggy. And all the thinking in the world ain't like kissing.
And all the kissing in the world ain't like having a medal to wear on the front of your coat.
Who cares about a medal? Just stay with me, Piggy, darling. And I'll love you true forever.
Aren't you going to do that anyhow, Chris? You said you was.
Of course I am. It'd be lots more comfortable if you stayed here.
Oh, don't take on about it, Chris. I'll be coming back. And I'll marry you someday, too, I promise.
But when? Years and years, perhaps. You be careful, won't you, Piggy?
Oh, man has to take his chances in the army, Chris. But if it happens, I'll be thinking of you right to the last.
Oh, don't talk like that.
Oh, now, yes. Give us a kiss.
Piggy, get yourself on over here. We're about to fall in.
I've got to go now, Kristen, darling. Don't you be forgetful.
Oh, I won't. Ever, Piggy. Here. I made something for you to take with you.
What's this?
It's a button bag. All the regular soldiers carry them. I put some of my hair in it.
Well, now, that's awful kind of you, Chris.
I guess it ain't made so good, but I didn't want nobody else to help me. Not even Mom.
Oh, I'll carry it right over me heart, so long as I'm alive.
Don't say things like that.
Piggy, come on.
Give us one more kiss now. I can't stay no longer.
Oh, Piggy.
Goodbye, Chris. Take care of yourself.
Goodbye, Piggy. Be careful. Be careful.
I'll be coming around to see you, Chris, my darling, when I get back from the war.
Piggy.
Well, it's about time. Lucky we're not both in trouble. You stick your blinking fife in her ugly mouth and blow on it, petticoat chaser.
Oh, shut up and beat your drum, soldier, before I decide to pound in your bloomin' head a bit. Tell the colonel he can shove off now.
And so the Fore and Aft went north to the wars, first by troop train, and then on foot when the last railhead left them with a 7-day route march before they'd reached the front up ahead. And during those 7 weary days, the regiment began to crack. Men weren't hardened to the long miles of marching, and they found themselves dead tired before the noon of each day. The food was bad, and the water was worse. And on the second day, the snipers started in. They would hide in the tumbled rocks of the low brown hills beside the road and wait for the column to pass. And the first sign of one would be a flash and a puff of smoke, and some man on the long line of march would die without ever seeing the enemy who killed him. And even at night, the tired and nerve-shattered men could find no rest. If anything, the night hours in the dark tents were a good deal worse than the daylight hours on the dusty road.
Oh, still you booming gabbing till the morning, Piggy. Oh, I gotta get myself some sleep.
As if I ain't marched just as far as you have. Oh, me bloomin' feet's killing me.
Serves you bloody well right for getting us into this. We could have been back at the station living on the fat of the land.
And halfway to becoming musicians, like as not.
In which case, I'd be sleeping in a regular bed, having decent chow to eat for once.
I'm afraid you're not the Army type, Jacob. Perhaps I shouldn't have talked my friend the Colonel into letting you come. Yes, sir.
You don't have to call a blinking sergeant, sir.
There ain't no harm in it.
Piggy, that's another one of our sentries got himself killed out there.
They can conceal up in the dark without making a sound. And they take their bloody long knives and slice a man open as neat as you please.
All right, hold the fire! See what you're shooting at!
I wonder what they look like, Piggy. These here Pathans?
Oh, what's it matter when we can't even carry rifles? I ask you now, Jacob. Look at that. How's a man to get himself a medal when all he's got for a weapon is a bloomin' fight?
Late afternoon of the 7th day, weary, savage, and sick. Their uniforms dulled and unclean. The Fore and Fit rendezvoused with the Highland Brigade.
Hi, lads. Here comes the new regiment. The Fore and Fit. Fore and Fit, eh? May I ask what it is they're fit for?
Some of the men bore wounds, and some were stretcher cases. But the real casualty was the regimental morale. These raw conscripts had marched out of their station in the south with a band playing. And somehow they'd imagined that they might march glorious into battle the same way. But no band played when they slogged sullenly into the brigade encampment.
Hey, Piggy, think we have found the blinking wartwash?
And what else? Ain't that a full-grown general old Colonel's talking to there?
Blimey, look at them chaps over there wearing petticoats.
Now, what you know, they're islanders. And I've heard a man best take no liberties with them.
One activity might have aroused the interest of the regiment, as tired as they were. Rifle practice the enemy. And with all 700 rifles blazing together, that's the way they felt.
We've had a bit of a tough time of it coming down, sir. My men have been rather mauled. No chance of a fair return. They only want to go in some place where they can see what's before them.
Yeah, I understand, Colonel. I wish I could let you have a few days to recover, but I simply can't spare you right now.
There'll be no need of it, sir. All we're wanting is one good night's rest.
I see. Well, you can lay your camp area downstroke from the Highlanders, Colonel. And I suggest you call a general inspection before dark. We plan to attack the enemy position at dawn.
So it's active duty you wanted, Piggy. And how much longer do you think they're going to keep us standing here with the bloody daylight barely coming over the hills?
Oh, no. We can't have no battle till the bloomin' general has his morning tea now, can we?
Just take a look at all them Pathans out there on the plain. Must be 8 of them to 1 of us. Right down the line.
Then it makes it that much easier to get a medal.
And how do you hope to get a medal? Maybe you're going to blow their bloody eardrums out with your little fife.
More like it, we'll not even have the chance to see how the beggars look. The band, as you might have heard, is going to wheel and retire when we reach them rocks, while the regular soldiers go on and attack the enemy.
Which, I might say, is exactly the way I'd plan it myself. I got no fondness for being sliced up like a bloomin' leg of lamb.
Oh, you got no spirit, you bloody little beggar.
Beggar yourself and a bigger one. Them as want spirit can have it.
Like as not, I'll have to pound your head a bit before you can...
Here we go, Piggy.
Right, Sergeant. Ready now.
Why, colors! That's a quick colors! Colors!
Watch yourself now, Jason. Step lively. Just keep your eye on me and I'll make a bloody ear out of you.
Only someone had blundered. Someone had misread an order, and the Fore and Fit move out onto the plain to attack the enemy force alone.
Confounded, stupid conscripts. What are they up to anyhow? They've spoiled the whole plan of the battle. It's the kind of a mistake you could expect from a regiment that doesn't even know how to march.
At the clump of rock, the band wheeled and halted and continued to play, while the ranks opened to form a skirmish line and moved slowly ahead.
Hold steady, laddies. We've had no orders to move out, and therefore we'll stand fast. If the Fore and Pit wishes to fight like hogs, then they'll fight alone.
At 500 yards range from the enemy line, the regiment began firing at will and wildly. In a few minutes, they'd thrown away half their ammunition and blinded themselves with their own smoke. And farther out on the plain, the Afghan army stood quietly, throwing occasional well-aimed bullets into the milling herd of green troops.
Blooming fools! They're bunching like a herd of sheep. Don't they realize there'll be a Ghazi charge at any minute?
Suddenly, from the main body of the Afghan troops, a small band of about 50 Pathan warriors charged forward and fell upon the startled Englishmen. These were the Ghazis, the suicide squad always thrown out ahead of the Afghan army before any main test of strength. Swinging their long, heavy knives, they struck the close-packed British line.
Why in the name of heaven don't they take open order? They'll be cut to bits.
The Fore and Aft wavered, shuddered away from the vicious slashes of the murderous bone-handled knives, rallied for an instant and held, and then broke, turned tail, and ran.
So when you look at them, laddies, they talk and run. I say they make better speed to the rear than they make to the forward. They're anything but the Fore and Pit now. More likely to call them the Fore and Aft. It'll take them a lot of time to live that one, Joan. The Fore and Aft.
The regiment took no thought for the wounded, for the men left behind. Nor did they stop until they jammed in the pass that led up the hill. And the band, too, was carried along with them in their panicked, headlong flight. All the band except 2 men.
Piggy, you think the bloody beggars can see us hiding here in the rocks?
Of course not. Seeing as how they're too busy chasing our brave comrades. Look at them run, the bloomin' cowards. It is a fine way now for a British regiment to act.
If we done the same thing, we'd not be left behind here the way we are.
What's eating you? You're comfortable, aren't you?
Maybe comfortable, but I ain't easy in my mind.
Oh, stow it. Somebody's dropped the canteen here. You just got rum in it.
And how can you hope to tell by shaking it?
And now keep your dirty hands off it. I'll do the trying it out.
Well, is it, Piggy? Is it?
No, it's water. Here, have yourself a free drink on Her Majesty, drummer boy. Look, them Pathan beggars are starting back to their own lines. And keep your head down.
Well, now, with the bloomin' enemy return, perhaps they'll come out and rescue us.
Not them, the bloody cowards. Look at them, Jake. The officers is beating them with the flats of their swords.
Can't they see the Pathans ain't chased them no more?
They can't see nothing but their own precious skin. Up 'em, though. Maybe we ought to give 'em a little music. Show 'em it's all nice and cozy out here now.
Oh, no. It ain't for me to do nothing like that. Won't we should get ourselves shot?
Oh, there ain't no enemy close by now. Come on, Jakin. Take up your bloody drum there.
You positive there's only water in that canteen?
Oh, so like as not you're a coward, too. The same as the rest of the regiment.
I'll show you who's a coward, Piggy, my boy. And I'll be pounding your head a bit, too. The first chance I get. Take your bloomin' fart there and stick it in your ugly face.
Well, now, so you have got a bit of spirit. Maybe I'll speak to my old friend the Colonel about it.
Oh, shut up and start blowing. Ready?
Ready, all? Now!
Where's it we're going to march to, Piggy?
Back and forth a time or two in full sight. Then we'll wait in the rocks till the battle starts. They watching us?
Be sure they're watching us. Ah, yes. They're watching us, all right.
Time held still, and even the Afghan snipers forgot their weapons, while 2 armies watched the tiny red-coated figures marching back and forth on the battlefield alone.
And I tell you certain there's a pair of brave laddies down there.
All right, the blinking cowards! Look at them out there! I mean, those are the only brave men in the regiment!
Men of the Fore and Aft lifted their heads, fingered their rifles, and stared without moving. And out there on the silent plain, back and forth, marched Jakin and Piggy.
They're going to play these blooming instruments all day long. Ain't the blighters ever going to come back?
Shut up, Jakin. Keep quiet.
All I might say is, I shouldn't ever let you talk me into this. I ain't cut out for active duty anyhow. I should have bloody well feel more comfortable if I was back in here. If I was back...
Jakin. Jakin. Oh, you blinking heathen blighters. You've killed Jakin. All right, I'll show you who's afraid of you. Come on, you bloomin' coward.
Two armies saw them die from the sniper's bullets. Two armies and the men of the Fore and Aft.
All right, now of the regiment. What now? Those two at least were brave enough to know how to die. Hit, bayonet, ready about and hold skirmish line. This time we attack, and there'll be no turning back.
Look at them ladies, the Fore and Aft. They're going back to fight. Aye, look at them run. Here's how it should have been done in the first place. They'll not turn them back to him. Aye, ladies. Now's the time for us. Foreigners to know here's where we join the fight. Here. The fight. When it's up.
Late afternoon saw the Afghan army wiped out. And the general explained to me how everything had gone according to his plan. And how he hoped I'd cable that back to my paper in London right away. I turned and left him then, and walked out across the silent battlefield. Walked out among the silent dead. The two tiny figures lay quite close together. Jakin fallen across his broken drum, and Piggy Lou, with the fife still clenched in his dirty fist. A bulge under his tunic caught my eye, and I reached in and drew out a button bag, embroidered crudely with the name Chris.
I made it for you myself, Piggy, my darling. And I put some of my own hair inside of it.
I'll wear it right next to me heart, Chris, so long as I'm alive.
I thought how Chris would soon forget, and how the world's memory is no longer than hers. The sun was sinking away in the west. The button bag in the hand was soaked and damp. And over the left breast of Piggy's grimy uniform, over the pocket where citations are usually worn, a bright red stain had spread out through the coarse wool, looking so very much like the bright red ribbon that goes with a medal.
Escape is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald, and tonight brought you The Drums of the Fore and Aft by Rudyard Kipling. Adapted for radio by Les Crutchfield, featuring Gil Stratton Jr. as Piggy Lou, Jimmy Ogg as Jakin, and Eric Rolfe as Rudyard Kipling.
This is CBS, where you hear the FBI in Peace and War every Thursday night on the Columbia Broadcasting System.
Nestle's Quick for the greatest tasting chocolate milk and those famous Nestle's chocolate bars present Space Patrol! High adventure in the wild, vast reaches of space. Missions of daring in the name of interplanetary justice. Travel into the future with Buzz Corey, Commander-in-Chief of the Space Patrol! In today's transcribed Space Patrol adventure, Buzz and Appy are in their spacesuits advancing across the rocky surface of the planet Mercury toward the hideout of an escaped criminal.
Hold it, Appy. Something moved up there ahead of us. It looked like an animal of some kind. An animal on Mercury? That's right. Whatever it is, there's another one. They're small robots. Castro is probably using them to observe us. They look like turtles, except that they move a lot faster. You go back a few hundred yards and figure out another plan of action. Hap, look behind us. We're surrounded by them. Yes, sir. Oh, my leg! Some kind of weapon. They're shooting pain rays right through our spacesuits. They're closing in on us, dozens of them. Commander, I can't move.
We'll return in just a moment with today's exciting Space Patrol adventure, the super brain of Balmer Castro.
Say, Captain Two-Fell, will you settle an argument for me and the gang?
I'll sure try, Tony. What's the trouble?
Well, sir, we're all fighting over which Nestle's chocolate bar is the best. Katie says the milk chocolate. Joey votes for the almond bar. But I say Crunch is the greatest. What do you think?
Well, now, Tony, that is a tough one. Because as everybody knows, Nestle's makes the very best chocolate, no matter which bar you favor. There's nothing as smooth and creamy as a Nestle's milk chocolate bar in the red and white wrapper. And the Nestle almond bar in the blue and white wrapper is the same rich chocolate loaded with fresh toasted almonds.
How about my favorite, Crunch?
I was coming to that. Nestle's Crunch is the really different chocolate bar with a mystery, crunchy consistency that gets crisper with every bite. It's really out of this world.
But which one do you really think is best?
Best? Why, any Nestle's bar is best, Tony. There's never any argument about that. So, gang, when you want the best in chocolate bars, you want Nestle's. You know what Commander Corey says? He says Nestle bars are tops in our ration because they have all the rich milk and sugar it takes to speed up your jets and give you extra rocket energy.
But, Captain, you still haven't settled our argument.
Well, tell you what, Tony, why don't you take this handful of Nestle's bars to the gang and tell them there's no use arguing. Just remember, Nestles. Nestle's makes the very best chocolate. And now, today's Space Patrol adventure, the super brain of Balmer Castro. For nearly an hour, Commander Corey and Cadet Happy have listened spellbound to Dr. Ernest Blake as the great authority on the human mind describes his new invention, the cerebroscope. Dr. Blake, a member of the clinical consulting staff of the Criminal Rehabilitation Center on the planet Mars, has made a special space flight to Terra to report his recent discoveries to Commander Corey.
As I understand it, Dr. Blake, your cerebroscope can actually increase or amplify intelligence.
Yes, Commander. Its full applications and possibilities can't be estimated at present without further tests.
A moment ago, Doctor, you said you had increased the intelligence of rats with your cerebroscope.
Yes. From 50 to 100%.
Wow.
It's very interesting, Dr. Blake, but... Dr. Blake, have you experimented on humans?
Well, that is one reason for my visit, Commander. I want official permission to test the cerebroscope on volunteers in the Criminal Rehabilitation Center.
You mean on those eligible to be discharged as cured?
Naturally. It might be dangerous to increase the mental powers of those who still have criminal tendencies. Just how dangerous, no one can say.
I don't believe you've answered my question, Doctor. Have you experimented on humans?
I made one test. Or rather, my assistant did.
Who was the subject?
I was.
What were the results?
Before the experiment, I took several intelligence tests under supervision of my assistant. After just 5 minutes of cerebroscope radiations, I repeated those tests along with similar tests. Commander, my score was more than 40% higher.
Smoking rockets.
And you're now more intelligent than you were before.
Perhaps. But I don't know how permanent the effects are or in how many areas of intellect the radiations are effective. That's why I want to make more tests on others.
Dr. Blake, I'd like to look into this matter a little further before I make a recommendation.
Well, could you come to the Rehabilitation Center and examine the cerebroscope?
I'd like to very much, Doctor. But I can't get away for at least 2 days.
Well, I have some business here on Terra that will keep me here that long. Suppose I contact you day after tomorrow.
Fine, Doctor. We'll see you then.
A short distance from Lowell City on the planet Mars is the Criminal Rehabilitation Center. Here, one of the latest arrivals, Balmer Castro, is undergoing initial processing. He sits silently as the official interviewer, Rhoda Nexon, gives him routine instructions.
In this first test, a series of questions will be flashed on the screen.
Break it off, Rhoda. Break it off. Your attendants are gone.
Well, just to be safe, Mr. Castro, I think we'd better proceed with a regular test.
Now, look, I offered to let you use that cerebroscope on me in return for a chance to escape. The quicker you give me that treatment, the sooner I can figure a way to get out of here.
I know, but we can't make it obvious that I'm helping you escape. I'm taking enough chances as it is.
I'll cover you, Rhoda. I'll make it look as though I forced you to help me.
Well, then at least take part of the test. We've got plenty of time. The attendants won't be back for 3 hours.
How long does the cerebroscope treatment take?
I'm going to give you 15 minutes of radiation.
And that'll make me the smartest operator in the solar system, huh?
Well, I can't promise that, but your brain will be at least twice as efficient as it is now. Shall we get on with the test?
All right.
A few hours later, in Space Patrol headquarters on Terra, Commander Corey gives Cadet Happy some astonishing news.
I don't know the full details yet, Happy, but Balmer Castro escaped from the rehab center.
Smoking rockets. How did he manage that?
That's the big mystery, Hap. It's almost as though he had the cooperation of the whole staff, yet we know that's impossible.
Commander, is it true about Castro? Is that why you sent for me?
Yes, Dr. Blake, it's true.
I can't believe it. No one has ever escaped from that Martian center.
I haven't pieced the story together yet, Doctor, but somehow Castro managed to deceive several key members of the staff. He literally walked out, or rather drove out in a surface car, and no one raised a hand to stop him.
I've had a strange premonition all morning, Commander. A strong feeling that something was wrong at the center. Since I took that cerebroscope treatment, my mind seems sensitive to thoughts of others. He must have had help to escape like that. Such a thing is unthinkable. Our staff is thoroughly reliable.
I know. And they're experienced in dealing with clever criminals.
This had to happen while I was away.
I haven't told you the worst part of it, Doctor. Your assistant, Rhoda Nexon, disappeared with Castro.
What?
And your cerebroscope is missing.
No.
It's true.
Hey, the cerebroscope. Say, wait a minute. Maybe that's the explanation.
How about it, Doctor? Could your device make a super-intelligent crook out of an ordinary swindler?
I can't say for certain. But I am afraid it's possible.
Well, still, how would Castro have known about the cerebroscope? And who would he get to give him the treatment?
That's what we're going to find out. Let's get to the spaceport and blast off for Mars.
An all-planets alert has given every Space Patrol agent a description of Balmer Castro and Dr. Blake's missing assistant, Rhoda Nexon. At this moment, the escaped criminal sits calmly in a small apartment in Lowell City, Mars, while Rhoda Nexon nervously but expertly checks a series of test forms.
Haven't you finished yet, Rhoda?
Oh, yes, but I was just rechecking.
Why waste time? You know as well as I do that the answer tabulating system is foolproof.
These results are unbelievable. Fantastic.
Then I am a genius, is that it?
It's frightening. Your score is 28 points higher than the previous top rating.
Is that so? And who is the ex-champion?
Professor Maxwell Huxley, a descendant of a long line of geniuses.
So I topped old Huxley, huh?
Well, not in the matter of actual information, of course, but in intellectual potential, you're far superior.
Natural. So the cerebroscope made me an all-around genius.
No. In moral values, sense of right and wrong, you're still subnormal. Well, Mr. Castro, we've completed the agreement, so I'll be going.
You'll remain with me. I may have further use for you.
I don't want any money from you, Mr. Castro, and I promise I won't go to the Space Patrol. Just let me go.
You might as well stop begging, Rhoda. Your pleading has absolutely no effect upon me, except to irritate me. I don't trust you, Miss Nexon, and I have good reason not to.
Well, what do you mean? Didn't I help you escape?
You had no intention of keeping that promise, Rhoda. You merely wanted a human guinea pig for an experiment. Dr. Blake refused to test his invention on human beings, so you decided to take advantage of his absence and do a little research on your own. Isn't that right?
Well, how did you know that?
And I was right. You didn't dream that Blake's gadget would make me able to outsmart you and the rest of the staff at the rehab center.
But I told you it would. Why would I risk getting in bed with Dr. Blake and losing my job? You've got what you wanted, a powerful brain and your freedom. Oh, be fair, Mr. Castro. Let me go.
Oh, you forget, Rhoda, that although my intellect is high, my sense of fairness, of right and wrong, is subnormal. Now, you're staying with me. Now, be quiet. I have to figure a way out of our present danger.
Danger? What danger?
I don't know exactly. But I have a strong sense of an opposing force. A powerful mind working against me. I think... In fact, I'm sure it's the mind of Dr. Ernest Blake.
Elsewhere at the Terra spaceport, Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are ready to blast off for Mars. With them in the control compartment of the Terra 5 is Dr. Blake.
Instrument check completed, Commander.
Good. Dr. Blake will blast off as soon as we get the go-ahead from Space Control. Just relax.
There's something I should have told you before, Commander. I don't think there's any doubt that my assistant, Rhoda Nexon, is responsible for Castro's escape. Mind you, I can't give you a single bit of evidence for suspecting her of disobedience. Yet I'm convinced of it. What's more, I'm sure that before we reach Mars, I'll be able to tell you where to find Rhoda and Castro.
I hope you're right.
Space Control, Terra to Commander Corey aboard Terra 5.
Corey here. Go ahead, Space Control.
Mars space lock is clear, sir. Space Control on.
Stand by for blast-off.
Standing by, sir.
Fire rockets.
Fire rockets.
Up, ship and away.
Come on, Rhoda. Let's get out of here.
Space Patrol must be looking for us everywhere. For all we know, there may be agents out in the street right now.
There aren't. Our main source of danger is coming toward us now, from Terra.
How do you know?
Don't ask questions. I know a place on Mercury where we'll be perfectly safe. Right now, our enemies are roaring toward Mars. But they'll never arrive. They will destroy themselves out in space.
I just rechecked the vector computer, sir. We're 2 hours out of Mars.
That'll bring us into Lowell City at 1340. Is Dr. Blake still sleeping?
No, sir. The last time I went back aft, he was pacing his compartment and muttering to himself. When he saw me in the corridor, he slammed the door.
He's under quite a strain, poor fellow.
He's got me worried, Commander. How can he be so positive that Castro's in Lowell City? I think he knows a lot more about this escape than he lets on.
You'll find out how much he knows before very long.
You're not going to find out anything, Commander. I've got a blast gun here. Do what I tell you or I'll use it.
Dr. Blake, this is hardly the time for a joke.
This is no joke, Corey. You're planning to hold me responsible for Castro's escape. But you're not going to hold me up to disgrace. Change vector.
Dr. Blake, I don't know what you're talking about.
Do what I tell you, or I'll blast both of you.
We'll return to Space Patrol in just a moment. Come and get it! Hey, all you rocket jockeys, I've got something new and sensational to tell you about today. I mean Nestle's Quick, the greatest way to make chocolate milk you ever tasted. Quick makes the richest, most chocolatey, most delicious chocolate milk in all the universe. It's the same wonderful flavor as Nestle chocolate bars. Oh, just think if drinking milk would taste like that. Jumpin' Jupiter. And Space Patrollers, Nestle's Quick is just as quick and easy to make as it is delicious. You can fix yourself a tall, frosty glass of Quick in no time, any time. Now, here's all you do. Pour out your glass of milk and then add 2 spoonfuls of Quick powder. Yes, sir, you heard me. First you pour in the milk and then you put in the Quick. Nestle's designed Quick to mix in a flash. It's never messy to make, and you don't have to beat it or shake it in special containers. And that special Nestle's chocolate flavor won't settle at the bottom or stick to the sides. No, sir. Quick is real chocolatey from the first sip to the last swallow. And Mom will be real pleased to know that Quick is fortified with vitamin D, just what you need for strong, healthy bones. And believe me, when Mom sees how you drink up every drop of your milk, she'll be glad to get Nestle's Quick all the time. Now, gang, here's how to get the official chocolate milk maker for all Space Patrollers. Ask Mom to bring home the big brown and yellow can of Nestle's Quick. That's Q-U-I-K, Quick. And then the happiest sound at your house will be the one that means great chocolate milk. That's the Quick call. Like this. Come and get it! Nestle's Quick! And now, back to our Space Patrol adventure, the super brain of Balmer Castro. Commander Corey and Cadet Happy are aboard the Terra 5, heading for the planet Mars with Dr. Ernest Blake, inventor of the cerebroscope, a device that vastly increases the efficiency of the brain. Through the use of this invention, Balmer Castro was able to outwit the staff of the Martian Criminal Rehabilitation Center and escape, taking Dr. Blake's assistant, Rhoda Nexon, with him. For some unaccountable reason, Dr. Blake is attempting to force Buzz to change the vector of the Terra 5.
I'm warning you, Corey. Don't turn around or I'll blast you.
Okay, Doctor, you name it. Where do we go?
Let's see.
Drop the gun, Doctor. I said drop it. There. It's okay, Commander. I've got him.
Nice work, Happy. I'll admit you had me worried when you jumped him.
Take a look at the gun, Commander.
Oh, he was bluffing. It's a ray gun.
Yes, sir. If it was a blaster, I wouldn't have dared risk it. When I saw it was a ray gun, I figured the worst that could happen to you was that, well, he'd put you to sleep for an hour.
It's a ray gun. What have I done? What have I done?
You haven't done anything, fortunately. But just what were you trying to do, Doctor?
I don't know. I must have lost my mind. Something made me do it, Commander. Some powerful force took control of me. Castro.
Castro?
Yes. I know he's used the cerebroscope now. I know it.
And you think he forced you to attack us?
There's no doubt about it. My behavior a moment ago, it couldn't possibly have benefited me. But it could benefit Castro. I tell you, I thought that ray gun was a blaster.
It's hard to believe that Castro could control your mind from a distance, yet he seems to have deceived and controlled the staff at the rehab center.
Yeah, there must be a lot more to this cerebroscope of yours than you told us, Doctor.
There's a lot about the human mind that we don't know. I tell you, Commander, Balmer Castro's mind is powerful enough to send a spark across space to my mind.
And perhaps you're sending a spark to his.
But not as strong. Remember, I was subjected to the cerebroscope radiations for a few minutes. Who knows how long Castro may have been under the treatment.
Wow.
Commander, Mercury. Change vector to Mercury.
Why?
That's where you'll find Castro.
Catch him, Happy. Yes, sir. He's unconscious, sir.
Take care of him, Hap. I'm changing vector to Mercury.
Some moments later, viewscope scanning beams sweep back and forth over the rocky surface of the planet Mercury as Buzz and Happy search for a trace of Balmer Castro.
If Dr. Blake is right, we should be over Castro's hiding place.
Should I wake the doctor, sir?
I don't think you could, Happy. A while ago, I gave him a short burst with a vapor injector to put him to sleep.
Smoking rockets. Is he getting out of hand again?
No, it was Dr. Blake's own idea. He's afraid that if his brain is fully conscious, Castro might become aware of it and know we were after him.
Oh, I see.
So immediately after the doctor got his mental fix on Castro, he asked to be put to sleep.
Uh-oh. Commander, look.
A grounded spaceship.
Yeah, in the black shadow of that peak. Without the infrared probe beam, we'd never have seen it.
Get our spacesuits out of the locker, Hap. They'll land and search for Castro's hideout.
Under the sun-baked rock of Mercury, Balmer Castro relaxes in one of the cool, comfortably furnished chambers of his hideout. His captive, Rhoda Nexon, paces the floor nervously.
Rhoda, sit down. Take it easy.
I don't like this place. How long are you going to keep me here?
Really, you could be in a far worse place. Even if it is underground, it's well lighted, with its own independent air-producing system. I've set aside a room for your private use.
Look at you, Castro. You fancy yourself a master criminal, and yet you're living underground like a mole, hiding.
That's only temporary. In time, I shall be able to go and come as I please.
Suppose the Space Patrol finds your hideout. You're trapped.
I'm not defenseless, Rhoda. I have a corps of alert and well-armed sentries guarding this place.
I haven't seen a living soul here.
That's right. I didn't say the sentries were living. They're small, highly maneuverable, and in some respects they think for themselves.
Robots.
Exactly. The robots could hold off quite a force until I escape through the cavern of the spaceship, if necessary.
I don't care how brilliant you are, Castro. You're still one man against organized society.
At present, I am just one man. But a true leader has no difficulty recruiting followers. I will draw them into me with irresistible force.
What's that?
I better lock you up for the time being.
What do you mean, lock me up? What's happening?
The robot sentries have sighted a moving object on the surface near the hideout. Before I go to the control chamber, I'm going to put you where you can't interfere.
Meantime, in their spacesuits, Buzz and Happy walk across the rough, oven-hot rock surface of Mercury, searching for Castro's hideout. Suddenly, Buzz grips Happy's arm.
Hold it, Happy. Something moved up there ahead of us. It looked like an animal of some kind. An animal on Mercury? That's right, there's no atmosphere. Well, whatever it is, there's another one. Hap, they're robots. Castro is probably using them to observe us. They look like turtles, except they move a lot faster. You go back a few hundred yards and figure out another plan of action. Hap, look behind us. We're surrounded by them. Yes, sir. Oh, My leg! There's some kind of weapon. They're shooting pain rays right through our spacesuits. They're closing in on us. Dozens of them. But they've stopped now. It's almost as though they were watching us. They are, and so am I. It's Balmer Castro, I believe. That's right, Commander. I can see every move you make through the viewscope eye of each of those little robots. I can monitor you through any single robot or a combination. Now, since you seem so anxious to find my hideout, my sentries will escort you. Follow them. All right, Castro. First, drop your ray guns. Go on, or I'll jolt you with a pain ray. That's better.
Surrounded by the strange turtle-like robots, Buzz and Appy make their way across the rough rocks. Almost like living things, the robots occasionally break formation to avoid obstacles, but immediately close in again. Finally, Buzz and Appy enter an airlock with 4 of the robots scurrying in after them. At last, they're in an underground chamber, face to face with Balmer Castro.
That's it, gentlemen. Raise your face pieces.
All right, Castro. What have you done with Rhoda Nexon?
She's here, Commander. You'll join her in a moment. You were directed here by Dr. Blake, I presume. I thought I'd disposed of him out in space, but occasionally I still seem to make slight contact with his mind. Here, Rhoda, I brought you some company.
Space patrolman.
Yes, Commander Corey and a cadet. Commander, you'll notice that the robots have stopped a few feet away from you. They're watching you. They're going to see that none of you leave this room alive.
Castro, what are you going to do?
I'm going to the control panel.
He's a fiend, Commander. A fiend with a super brain.
Did you help him escape from the rehab center?
I didn't mean to. Honestly, I didn't. I never dreamed anything like this would happen.
Let's not waste time talking. Hap, let's see if we can get out of here.
Maybe we can break down that door.
Oh! Hold it. We've got to knock out those robots. When we get close to them, they blast us with a pain ray.
If there was only something in here we could use for a weapon.
There's nothing. I've looked.
If there was only a rod or something, maybe we could flip them over on their backs and get out of their range. Hey, how about that chair?
We couldn't get close enough. Even if we threw the chair, I doubt that it would smash them. They look very rugged.
Yeah. There's nothing on these walls except a couple of mirrors. Nothing that would do us any good.
Oh.
I'm at the robot control panel now, Corey. I'm gradually increasing the strength of the pain rays. In a few moments, you'll all suffer unendurable agony. You can't avoid the robots. Wherever you move, they'll follow you. Even when I'm on my way to my spaceship, the robots will continue their work.
I can't stand it.
Commander, she's fainted.
The girl is fortunate. I'm leaving now, Commander, with Blake's cerebroscope. I can't bear to watch people suffer.
Dirty rat. We can't fight those robots. But maybe we can trick them.
Oh.
Notice they avoid each other. It's a built-in reaction to keep them from getting in each other's way.
Yeah, well, that doesn't do us much good. We're not robots.
No, but maybe we can make these gadgets think we are.
Huh?
The mirrors. We'll each take one from the wall. Hap, hurry.
Yes, sir.
Hold the mirror close to the floor, Hap. Now, watch out. Don't drop it.
Oh, the pain is so bad I can hardly control myself.
Hurry, Hap. Hold the mirror so the robot's electric eye will see its own reflection. Like this.
Commander, it's working. They're turning away from us.
They act like they're going mad.
Yeah, they're running around like crazy.
Maneuver them away from the door.
That's it. Wow, are they confused?
Keep them that way while I try to break down the door. Here, take this other mirror.
Yes, sir.
Keep them at bay. Got it, Hap. Keep the robots off while I carry the girl out.
Okay, Commander. I've got them under control.
All right, Hap. I've got Rhoda. Hang on to those mirrors and back toward the door.
Yes, sir. They're following us, Commander.
I don't think that broken door will hold them, but the mirrors will. Hap, as you back out of the room, put that chair in front of the doorway and prop the mirrors against it.
Okay, Commander. Hey, it's holding them, sir. They won't come any closer than 3 feet from the mirror.
Let's find a spacesuit for Rhoda and get her to the ship.
Well, what about Castro and those other robots outside?
We'll smash the robot control panel. Then we've got to get to Terra 5 before Castro tries to blast it from his ship.
Moments later, Buzz and Appy get Rhoda Nexon aboard the Terra 5, where the now fully conscious Dr. Blake is anxiously waiting for them.
Doctor, take care of Rhoda. Get her out of that spacesuit.
Yes, Commander. Is she all right?
She's coming around.
I saw that ship blast off, Commander, about 5 minutes ago.
It was Castro.
You're lucky, Doctor. If Castro had any space weapons aboard, he'd have blasted this ship for sure. Happy, prepare the ship for blastoff.
Yes, sir.
My cerebroscope. Did you find it?
Castro took it with him.
You were right, Doctor. Rhoda gave him a treatment. He's got a super brain.
With my cerebroscope, he can take other criminals and raise their mental powers.
Smoking rockets. He can form a ring of super criminals.
That's what we've got to prevent.
Yes, but what chance have we got? That tremendous intellect of his.
Don't forget, Doctor. No man is really smart if he sets all decent people against him. Happy, fire rockets. Up ship and away.
In just a moment, an action preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. Brought to you by Rice Chex and Wheat Chex, the bite-sized cereals in the red and white checkerboard packages. Say, did you ever take a taste test, Space Patrollers? Well, man, oh man, it sure is fun when it's Chex you're taste testing. How do I know? Well, I just took one. First, I tested them with sugar and cream. Super keen taste. Then I added fruit. Super neat taste. Next, I tried them right out of the red and white checkerboard package. That was a snack test. And Chex, rice, or wheat for snacks can't be beat. Yes, sir, gang, I rate Chex tops for taste. You'll rate them tops, too. Next, I tried them for size. Bite size is the just right size. Just right for your spoon, just right for delicious, easy eating. Chex, rice, or wheat, tops for size. You bet. And as for get up and go, gang, have yourself a good, nourishing breakfast with Rice Chex or Wheat Chex, and you'll be rated tops for get up and go. So, Space Patrollers, you take the Rice Chex, Wheat Chex taste test today, and I'm positive you'll agree, Chex rate tops 3 ways. For taste, for size, for get up and go. Rice Chex, Wheat Chex, the cereals with the super swell free Space Patrol trading card inside the red and white checkerboard package. And now, a preview of next week's exciting Space Patrol adventure. A saboteur has just escaped from the locked compartment aboard the Terra 5. Now, with ray guns drawn, Buzz and Happy are searching the ship.
He still must have that special spacesuit on, sir. At least it wasn't in the compartment.
How did he get out?
Smashed the door.
Rough customer. There he is. After him, Hap.
Halt where you are, I'll fire. He's heading for the weapons compartment.
This'll stop him.
Wow, that ray gun never even phased him.
It's that suit. He's completely shielded. Come on, we'll have to tackle him.
He's in the compartment with all those weapons.
All right, Halcorn, come out of there.
Helmet Gatsby. And you better have something better than a ray gun, but they can drop you if you take another step.
Be sure to join us next week for the thrilling story, The Test of the XK-3. Space Patrol, created by Mike Moser, starring Ed Kemmer as Commander Corey and Lynn Osborne as Cadet Happy, was written by Lou Houston. Produced and directed by Larry Robertson, executive producer Mike Devery. Other players were Norman Jolly, Virginia Hewitt, Ken Mayer, and Anthony Sides. Dick Tufel speaking. Now, don't forget to tune in next Saturday and every Saturday for the new, exciting Space Patrol. Space Patrol was brought to you today by Nestle's Quick for the greatest tasting chocolate milk and those famous Nestle's chocolate bars. Be sure to see another exciting Space Patrol program on your local ABC television station. Consult your local paper for time and channel. This program is broadcast to our armed forces overseas through the worldwide facilities of the Armed Forces Radio Service. Space Patrol came to you transcribed from Hollywood. This is ABC Radio Network.